The sky yawned. Pale light stretched across rooftops like fingers softly brushing cold surfaces awake. Far beyond buildings and bare branches, the sun waited, quiet behind slow-moving clouds. Time whispered rather than marched. Nothing hurried. Nothing stirred too quickly. The air carried stillness like a folded blanket, thick with silence. A wooden bench stood where it had always stood. Its slats, worn and steady, did not creak, did not shift, did not mind the long sleep. Facing forward, it watched a bare concrete wall. As it had the day before. As it had the week before that. As it had for many seasons. Beneath it, a few small pebbles had settled themselves like sleepy animals. A single dry leaf lay on the edge of the backrest. Nobody had moved it. Nobody had brushed it away. Wind had tried, softly, with occasional effort, but it remained, curled and calm, clinging without fear. Light touched the wall first. Not all at once. Not like a spotlight. It crawled upward from the ground, climbing slowly, tracing cracks that spidered out from the base. One long scratch curved across the left side. An old story, never told, never heard, just visible now in this light, and only if someone looked closely. The bench noticed. It always noticed. A pigeon cooed from somewhere unseen. Perhaps on a ledge. Perhaps tucked inside a nook above the alley. It sang only once. Just enough to say, "I am awake." Then it was quiet again. A second bird answered, less certain. Then, silence once more. The bench felt no rush. It never did. There was nothing to anticipate. No schedule. No task. Its only job was to remain. It did that perfectly. The world could shift around it, fast or slow, loud or soft. The bench simply existed. People were not yet walking. Doors remained closed. Windows still held the last breath of sleep behind curtains. A car, somewhere blocks away, started its engine. That sound came faintly, echoed between bricks and old metal. Then, even that faded. The wall stood opposite, as blank as always. It had not changed overnight. Paint still peeled at the bottom corner, near where dampness collected in rainy weeks. The top edge, too high for anyone seated to reach, had a single strip where birds had left a faint mark. Time had placed those stains there. Not mischief. Not vandalism. Just ordinary passing. There were no flowers nearby. No bushes. Just cement, aging gently. Even the ants walked somewhere else. Occasionally, one would stray across the leg of the bench. But this morning, there was none. Just stillness. Clouds moved overhead without drama. They were not storm clouds. Not bright either. Just calm, even, unremarkable. The kind of clouds that pass unnoticed above conversations, above routines, above everything. The bench looked up with no judgment. It had no preference. Somewhere far off, a gate clicked. That noise, thin and almost unimportant, arrived like a tiny reminder that the world still turned. The bench didn't respond. It didn't need to. It had no opinions, no questions. Only presence. The concrete ground beneath had cooled overnight. It didn't hold warmth yet. Soon, the sunlight might creep low enough to touch the floor. For now, shadows stretched behind the bench, not in front of it. The wall ahead was catching all the light, as if basking in something special. But it was just morning. Nothing more. Nothing less. Time was generous in this place. Each second arrived carefully, unstacked, laid down gently like stones on a path. If a person had walked by at that moment, they may not have noticed anything at all. They would have seen a bench. A wall. Nothing else. But if they had stopped, if they had sat, they might have felt it. That heavy softness. That calm weightlessness that only exists before things begin. The bench remembered mornings like this. It didn't have memory the way people do. But it held a kind of knowing. Like a tree knows the breeze. Like water knows gravity. The bench had felt this kind of morning thousands of times. Always different. Always the same. One leg of the bench had a faint groove on its side, carved long ago. Not by a knife. Not by vandalism. more like a scrape from years of brushing against the same rough broom. It didn't hurt. It didn't matter. It was simply part of the bench now. The wall had tiny patches of moss at the very bottom, just green enough to be noticed in the right light. You wouldn't call it beautiful. But it wasn't ugly either. Just ordinary. Just there. Footsteps approached. Slow ones. Not steady. Not hurried. They belonged to someone elderly. Maybe with a cane. Maybe just tired. But they didn't stop at the bench. They passed by, fading just as slowly as they came. The bench didn't feel disappointed. It never expected company. Across the alley, a closed window creaked open. Just a little. Just enough to say the day had begun. Nothing was shouted. Nothing was said. But something had changed. A drop of dew fell from the edge of the bench, down onto the hard ground. It didn't splash. It just disappeared into a dark dot. Then dried. No one saw it. No one knew. But it happened, just the same. The wall remained as it always did. It offered no conversation. No expression. But it offered consistency. That, the bench understood. In a world where everything moved, twisted, drifted, hurried, this wall stayed. And the bench faced it, every hour, every day, without complaint. The street lamp above blinked once, twice, then turned off. The light wasn't needed anymore. The sun was enough. Not strong, but present. The air shifted. Warmer now. Still cool, but with promise. A small breeze tiptoed through. It didn't push. It didn't shout. Just moved across the bench's back, ran along the armrests, then vanished. The leaf atop the bench fluttered, considered falling, but chose to stay. A car door closed in the distance. More footsteps. A rolling cart. Life beginning, slowly, like a curtain rising. The bench did not react. It simply received. It always had. It always would. This morning, like every other, asked nothing of the bench. And it offered nothing extra in return. No surprises. No changes. Just presence. That was enough. There was a time before. A moment when the bench had not yet been there. It remembers, not in pictures or voices, but in feelings. In the slow way wood settles into earth. In the subtle touch of air on new paint. In the fresh scent of recently sanded surfaces exposed for the first time. It was brought in quietly, before the heat arrived that morning. 2 workers carried it, one younger, one older, neither speaking much. They handled the bench with careful motions, steady but unhurried. Dust lifted with each step, floating gently behind them. The alley, quiet as always, watched their movements with silent permission. The bench had not known space before then. Not like this. It had not known air, stone, sunlight. Its parts had once been something else. Trees, bolts, fragments. Now it was whole, though unaware what that truly meant. Only the sensation of being lifted, moved, placed. They lowered the bench near the wall. Not directly against it. Just facing it, from across a narrow patch of uneven pavement. No ceremony. No announcement. One worker adjusted the legs. The other tested the balance by pressing down once, gently. It did not rock. The older man took a step back, tilting his head. He squinted toward the wall, shrugged, said something the bench did not understand, then walked away. The younger one lingered. He ran his hand across the backrest. Not to admire, just to smooth. Then they left. No music, no farewell. Just a door closing in the distance. That was the beginning. At first, the bench didn't recognize the wall. It saw only gray. But with time came understanding, edges, textures, angles. The surface ahead wasn't blank. It had layers. Light bounced off it differently as hours passed. It changed with weather, reflected seasons. The bench noticed every shift. Its early days were filled with attention. People came often, curious. Some Saturday. Some leaned. One person even placed a book beside the bench, then walked away. The bench waited. The book was never retrieved. Children ran near it, playing invisible games. One boy tapped the wood quickly, 3 times, then darted off. Laughter echoed. The bench didn't respond, but it listened. That first summer brought sounds the bench had never heard before. Distant humming from bees, sandals scraping sidewalk, ice melting in paper cups. Someone played a harmonica once, badly, but with heart. The notes wandered through the alley, bounced off the wall, then disappeared into memory. A girl sat down one afternoon. She was quiet. She had a sketchbook. Her pencil moved across pages like whispers on fabric. She didn't look at the bench. She looked at the wall. She drew shapes. Maybe clouds. Maybe nothing. But she returned 3 times after that. The bench remembered the rhythm of her pencil strokes, soft and careful. One morning, it rained. Not a drizzle. A deep, soaking rain that didn't ask permission. It filled tiny cracks in the pavement. It rolled down the wall in long, slow streams. It dripped from the bench's edges, slid along the legs, soaked into the ground. Cold. Heavy. But not painful. Just new. The bench learned the feeling of being wet. Of drying again. Of water leaving marks behind. Fall followed. Leaves gathered around the base like small blankets. Orange, yellow, brown, each one resting before moving again. Wind pushed them in circles, but some stayed, pressed flat by shoes, then forgotten. As colder weeks arrived, visits became rare. Fewer feet. Less sound. More silence. The bench adjusted. It had never asked for attention. It did not long for touch. Stillness suited it. It embraced the calm. Snow came eventually. Gentle at first. Then thicker. It gathered along the top slats, outlined every edge in white. The wall turned pale too, nearly blending into sky. The whole alley became a kind of quiet sculpture. Breath held. Time frozen. Through it all, the bench remained. Watching. Not waiting. Simply present. Spring brought color again. A soft green return. The bench noticed tiny plants pressing up between cracks near its feet. Small things, brave things, determined to grow. One day, someone trimmed them back. A small act. A short moment. But the bench noticed. Over years, the bench witnessed change, but never left. Faces came and went. Laughter, argument, quiet thoughts. Some people cried here. Not often. But sometimes, when no one else was near. The bench never turned away. It simply held their weight, gave them space, then let them go. There were times when repairs were made. A new bolt tightened. A slat replaced. A leg repainted. Workers came and went, hands familiar now. They spoke casually about weather, weekend plans, prices of sandwiches. The bench never joined, but it knew those sounds. Those voices. The wall in front changed too. Subtly. Moisture crept into lines. Faint lines deepened. Someone once sprayed a shape with red paint, half a heart, then letters. Not art. Just marks. Rain washed most of it away. Years passed like slow music. One afternoon, an old man visited. He walked with effort. Sat carefully. Let out a breath that lasted forever. He stayed longer than anyone else had. Quiet. Still. Watching nothing. He patted the armrest once. As if in thanks. Then he left. Never returned. The bench thought about that moment often. Not sadly. Just curiously. At night, moths came. They danced near the street lamp. Their wings made no sound, but the bench saw their shadows. They didn't stay long. Light distracted them. They chased brightness, then vanished. During early mornings, sometimes cats passed by. They didn't acknowledge the bench. They didn't need to. Their silence matched its own. A kind of mutual respect. Creatures that needed no words. Occasionally, someone brought coffee. Always in cups with plastic lids. Steam rose in little swirls. Warm scents lingered briefly. Then footsteps took the smell away again. Rain returned. Heat followed. Winds changed direction. But the bench stayed. One day, a camera crew came. Just 2 people. A tripod. a long lens. They didn't sit. They pointed toward the wall. One spoke about framing, the other nodded. Then, click. A single photo. Maybe more. Then gone. Another day, a woman carrying a plant passed by. A green thing with long stems. She paused briefly, looked at the bench, tilted her head. Almost Saturday. Almost. But didn't. She smiled, then left. The bench wondered what that plant was. It had never seen one up close. Only images, in magazines left behind. Faded pages. Dog-eared edges. Once, a magazine stayed for 5 days before the wind claimed it. Every season brought new sounds. Spring had chirps and puddles. Summer had fans and sandals. Autumn brought crunches and low voices. Winter wrapped everything in soft quiet. The bench came to recognize each one. Children grew taller. Their laughter deeper. Some no longer came. New ones appeared. Some Saturday. Some ran. Some ignored it entirely. But the bench noticed every shoe, every sigh, every pause. It remembered its first winter coat of snow. The softness. The weight. How nothing disturbed it for hours. It remembered its first scratch. A small one, left by someone's key. Accidental. Not deep, but permanent. It remembered the first time the wall shed a piece of paint that fluttered down, landing gently at its feet. A tiny paper-winged reminder that time touches everything. And it remembered installation day. The way the morning felt new. How sunlight hit for the first time. How strange the wall seemed back then. Featureless. Distant. Now, that same wall felt familiar. Almost like an old friend who never speaks, but always stays. The bench had not moved since that first day. Not even once. Others had changed. Children became adults. Paint faded. Shoes wore down. But the bench remained. And through it all, the one constant, across every memory, every sound, every moment, was the wall. Always in front. Always still. Always quiet. Exactly as it was meant to be. Silence lives in the alley, but not forever. Sounds always visit. Some stay for moments. Others pass through like whispers in wind. None ask permission. None announce their arrival. They simply appear, echo briefly, then fade into memory. Morning starts with the soft scrape of shoes on uneven ground. The steps belong to no one in particular. Sometimes slow. Sometimes quick. Sometimes hesitant. Each one carries a story the bench never hears in full. A gentle rustling comes from a distant window curtain drawn halfway open. It flutters once, twice, then rests again. Behind that fabric, life begins. Water running into a basin. The gentle clink of glass on wood. A spoon stirring slowly in a cup not yet emptied. The breeze itself speaks. Not loudly. Not constantly. It passes through small gaps, brushing brick edges, humming faintly as it weaves around corners and into narrow spaces. Now and then, it lifts a paper scrap, sending it tumbling until it settles somewhere new, unseen. Birdsong flutters in from high above. Not structured, not performed, but honest. Chirps rise, scatter, respond, overlap. Some sharp, some long, some uncertain. One note follows another without rules. The bench listens, not understanding meaning, but feeling rhythm all the same. Wheels click across cobblestones. A bicycle. Rusted spokes. Tired tires. Their passage stirs up dust that never asks to move. The click-click fades as the rider disappears around the corner, leaving only the scent of effort behind. Further away, doors thud shut. Not slams. Not angry. Just firm. Statements of beginning. Somebody leaving for work. Another locking behind them. These echoes arrive thin, stretched by distance, yet still present. A dog barks once, sharp, alert. It does not repeat. The bench imagines a tail wagging, claws tapping sidewalk. Dogs rarely linger here. They are walkers, movers. They rarely sit. The occasional rattle of a passing cart carries jars, perhaps bottles. The objects inside knock gently against each other. Their song is uneven, unpredictable. Glass sings with every bump and tilt. The wheels bounce against cracks. The sound is never the same twice. Voices float through. Most pass without faces. Conversations half-heard. Laughter. Sighs. Disagreements muttered quickly. Greetings called warmly. All layered together like colors in fog. The bench does not know names, but it knows tones. Happy ones. Tired ones. Frustrated. Hopeful. Everything human. Raindrops arrive without warning. First, a soft tap on metal nearby. Then many more, joining like 1,000 tiny fingertips tapping. The rhythm grows, steady and thick. Rain never speaks the same way twice. On warm days, it hisses. On colder afternoons, it thuds heavier. On this bench, it gathers first at corners, then runs together in rivulets that drip to the earth below. Thunder does not come often, but when it does, it rolls like a great sigh overhead. It does not crash here. It murmurs. A low tremble across sky and rooftop. The bench feels the sound more than hears it. Wind whistles through gutter holes, through broken fencing, through spaces between forgotten things. It never stays, never repeats. Sometimes, it howls like memory trying to return. Other times, it hums gently, like someone thinking. When autumn comes, falling leaves scratch faint trails across pavement. They are not loud. They scoot and swirl, brushing stone, tapping lightly against the bench's legs. Each one carries its own path. Each one dances before resting. At night, sound changes. It does not vanish, it stretches. Cars hiss farther away. Footsteps echo louder. Even a single cough becomes a wave that ripples along buildings. Shadows begin to sound like movement, though they bring none. A distant siren sings on certain nights. Long, rising, then falling. Always alone. Always moving away. The bench never learns where it ends. Owls call out sometimes. Only briefly. 2 notes, repeated once, then silence again. The bench cannot see them, but it knows they're near, watching, waiting, listening as it does. During winter, sound becomes thin. Snow hushes everything. Even wind becomes more polite. Footfalls are muffled. No leaves scratch. No bikes click. Only the sound of breath, visible in clouds, vanishing in seconds. Once, music arrived unexpectedly. A small radio carried by someone unseen. The tune wandered through the alley, bounced off the wall, played for exactly 5 minutes, then left. The melody stayed longer in memory than it did in air. There are days when almost nothing is heard. The world holds its breath. No one walks by. Nothing rolls, thumps, scrapes, chirps, or hums. On such days, silence stretches wide. Not empty, just whole. The bench feels that silence like a coat. It wraps itself in quiet. It does not mind. Children bring the most unpredictable noise. Their laughter bursts, runs wild, then vanishes. Sometimes they squeal for no reason. Sometimes they chant. Sometimes they cry, loudly, then suddenly stop. Their sound is alive, untamed. The bench accepts it all without reaction. One evening, there was whistling. A simple tune, not perfectly played. The person walked slowly, repeating the melody with slight changes each time. That song lingered longer than any other that week. Cats walk without sound, usually. But once, one meowed under the bench. Just one note. Soft, low, questioning. Then it was gone. That noise never returned, but the moment stayed. Construction in the distance creates a slow beat. Metal clanging. Engines rumbling. Shouting that arrives broken by space. These sounds never reach fully here. They brush the edges, never interrupt the stillness completely. Leaves swept by brooms produce a sound both harsh and gentle. Dry brushing across rough ground, pushed in uneven lines, then gathered. A worker once swept near the bench for 10 whole minutes. Not a word was spoken. Just that scrape, then stillness. Sometimes, wind chimes tinkle from far-off porches. Not part of the alley. Not nearby. Yet, when the air is right, their delicate voices wander in. Tiny bells laughing softly to themselves. Shoes matter, too. Heels click differently than sneakers. Sandals shuffle. Boots stomp. Some people drag their feet. Others step lightly, barely making contact. The bench notices it all. Umbrellas in rain make a flapping sound when opened. That quick whoosh, followed by water bouncing off fabric. Then the squeak of the handle as it's adjusted. Once, someone dropped theirs near the bench. It made a hollow thud, then a rattle. The handle broke. It was left behind for 2 days, then disappeared. Keys jingling signal arrival. Return. A door soon to open. Laughter often follows. Or quiet sighs. Either way, keys say more than metal should. One afternoon, a phone rang loudly. Its tone high, insistent. No one answered. It rang again. Then silence. It never returned. The bench never knew who the call was for. Insects buzz. Sometimes loud, sometimes barely heard. One flew into the bench's leg once. It bounced off with a soft ping. Flew away, embarrassed, perhaps. Clocks do not tick here. But time makes its own sound. Slow expanding warmth in summer. The tightening chill of approaching dusk. Shadows speaking in silence as they stretch, retreat, return. Sounds never argue with space here. They visit, settle, vanish. Some shout. Most whisper. All are remembered. That is the life of the bench. It does not see far. It does not move. But it hears everything. The wall never spoke, but it told many stories. Not loudly, not clearly, but through cracks, shadows, stains, and time. To anyone glancing quickly, it looked plain. Dull concrete stretching across brick and mortar. Lifeless. Empty. But the bench saw more. Always had. Its surface wasn't smooth. Tiny ridges ran across, forming silent patterns only noticed when sunlight arrived at just the right angle. One early morning, as the sky blushed softly with light, the wall glowed faintly gold. Not because it tried to shine. Not because it held brightness within. But because the world placed that light there, briefly. Every day, something shifted. Not dramatically. The differences came quietly. A new line appeared low near the corner. Maybe caused by age, or heat, or rain pressing down over months. Another stretch of paint peeled back, curling like an old paper drying in warmth. Once, a boy had drawn a star with blue chalk. Uneven, lopsided, made quickly. That mark lasted nearly 3 weeks before vanishing beneath dust, wind, and faint drizzle. But while it remained, the bench stared at it as though it were a painting. Over time, moisture left trails down the surface. Some thin as pencil strokes, others wide, streaking like fingers dragging across skin. They began as dark marks, sharp and visible. Later, they faded, blending into the stone. The bench knew where each had once flowed. Like veins beneath skin, those paths left a memory even after disappearing. In spring, the wall held warmth longer. When midday sun beamed straight on, heat built quietly along the middle. A bird once landed halfway up, resting briefly on a pipe stub. The bench saw the feathers shift slightly as the bird adjusted, glanced sideways, then lifted off again. That was the only time it ever paused there. The wall had layers. Not physical ones, but layers of experience. Shadows passed across it during different hours, depending on season. In winter, long dark shapes moved slowly. In summer, everything rushed past, quick and bright. Moss grew at the base. Small at first. A soft green patch forming in one moist crevice. Slowly, it spread sideways, hugging the edge near where ground met stone. Some days it looked vivid, thick. Other mornings, pale and shrinking. Rain helped it thrive. Dry spells made it thin. Nobody removed it. Nobody trimmed or brushed it. The moss belonged there now. Spiders visited too. Not often. But occasionally, thin webs stretched between pipe and corner. One spun a circular home near the bottom right. It shimmered slightly when afternoon light struck it. Dust clung to threads. After several days, wind tore most of it away. Only a few strands remained, like faded threads on forgotten fabric. A sticker once appeared high on the left. White, rectangular, with black letters. Time dulled it quickly. Rain smeared ink. Edges lifted. Eventually, it tore halfway, leaving only a small triangle that held on for months. Then, one windy evening, even that disappeared. Scratches crisscrossed areas no one noticed. Too faint for passing eyes. Too shallow for weather to erase quickly. Some seemed accidental. Others deliberate, like someone had pressed a key, a ring, a coin, trying to leave behind something permanent. But permanence rarely stays. Graffiti arrived once. Just 3 bold letters sprayed in orange. They looked fresh, wild, angry. The next week, workers covered them with beige paint. Not a perfect match. The cover-up remained visible. Beige over gray, a reminder of both presence and removal. That patch stayed longer than the letters. When rain poured, the wall changed personality. It darkened, deepened. Water flowed down in sheets. Splashes echoed faintly as droplets hit hidden places. For those moments, the wall wasn't dry, wasn't silent. It joined the rhythm of falling sky, responding without words. Afterwards, as sun returned, it steamed. Warm mist lifted gently, escaping upwards. That smell, earthy, mineral, old, filled the alley for a few minutes. Then the scent, like the moisture, vanished. In cold seasons, frost traced lines across its middle. Delicate white veins appeared each morning. By midday, they vanished without drama. But while they lasted, they sparkled. Just for the bench. Nobody else looked closely enough. Insects used the base as a highway. Tiny ants marched across the bottom edge, disappearing into cracks. A snail once climbed halfway up. Slow, determined, unaware of being watched. It left a trail behind, a thin, glistening line that caught light briefly. That path lasted a full day before dust covered it. Some days, pigeons flew near. One landed on a ledge above, cooing once before flying off again. Feathers floated downward, resting near the base. The bench noted them, watching them shift positions each time wind passed through. The wall aged without complaint. No groaning, no crumbling, just quiet evolution. The bench never saw anyone care for it. No one washed, fixed, or painted it completely. Only those rare touch-ups, those half-hearted cover-ups. Most days, the wall stood untouched, just present. When fog rolled in, the wall disappeared. Not completely, but edges blurred. Corners vanished into soft gray. Everything softened. Even sound changed. The bench could still feel the wall's presence, even without seeing. Distance remained unchanged. Silence became thicker, heavier, wrapped around them both like a curtain. Lights from nearby windows sometimes reflected on it during early dusk. Squares of soft yellow would stretch across its surface, pulsing slightly when someone moved behind the glass. Those shapes moved gently, slowly, faint reminders that life continued somewhere else. Evening brought long shadows. The bench watched them climb slowly upward. At one point each day, the shadow of the bench itself stretched tall across the wall, almost as though trying to reach something it never could. That moment passed quickly, and then light faded. Once, a child tossed a tennis ball against the wall. It bounced back, hitting the ground with a loud thud. Again. Again. Each time, the wall accepted it. Gave back nothing but force. Eventually, the child stopped. The bench never forgot that sound. Winter storms hit hard once or twice. Cold wind pushed debris against the lower portion. Bits of paper, leaves, forgotten wrappers gathered and collected there. Afterward, calm returned. But the base kept those traces for days. During summer evenings, laughter from far corners sometimes reached across and bounced faintly off the wall. It didn't echo, exactly. It lingered. Soft, ghost-like. As though the wall tried to keep those happy sounds just a little longer. In time, the bench knew every detail. Every bend, every dent, every faded mark. Familiarity grew deeper than names. Recognition without explanation. No part of the wall went unnoticed. Even when nothing happened, the bench observed it all. A spiderweb returns occasionally, built in the same place again and again. Patterns differ. Builders change. But something about that corner keeps inviting new weavers. Each one adds another brief chapter to the wall's quiet life. Sunset light adds magic for a few minutes daily. Orange tones sweep across the top, painting it in gold and amber. That beauty arrives unnoticed by most. But the bench watches, every single time. Years continue passing. Weather keeps sculpting. Time continues carving. The wall never pushes back. It just absorbs, holds, remembers, without ever saying anything at all. And still, the bench remains. Facing forward. Watching. Always. They come and go, one by one, two by two, or in small clusters. Each traveler brings their rhythm, pace, breath, and unspoken thoughts. Their faces often unreadable, glancing briefly, or not at all. The bench watches without judgment. It never asks for attention. It simply notices. The first footsteps usually belong to someone older. Worn shoes, careful strides, a grocery bag resting against one knee. They walk past, never breaking stride. Perhaps they once paused here, long ago. Perhaps not. No eye contact. Just steady progress towards someplace else. Next comes a woman in a red coat. She walks the same direction every morning. Each time, she glances sideways, not at the bench itself, but toward the wall behind it. Her gaze lingers for half a heartbeat, then moves forward. Sometimes she hums softly, lips barely moving. Words lost in the wind. A boy with a backpack skips past in the afternoons. Never slows down. Sneakers slap against concrete, rhythm sharp and uneven. His energy radiates without restraint. He tosses a small object in the air as he walks, a rubber ball, maybe, or a fruit. It bounces once near the bench, then is caught again. He never stops to pick it up. He always catches it. Another pair passes frequently, siblings, perhaps. Their conversations are quiet, but filled with life. Snippets reach the bench, too fragmented to form meaning. Their laughter curls around corners, then disappears behind them. Once, the older one brushed the bench edge with their coat. Neither turned to acknowledge it. A woman once paused nearby, holding a paper cup. She looked tired. Not defeated, just worn. For a moment, it seemed she might sit. She adjusted her scarf, looked at the bench, then looked away. With a small sigh, she continued on. At midday, office workers hurry past. Ties swinging, heels clicking. They carry files, sandwiches, coffee. They glance at watches. One walked by every weekday for 3 months, never missing a single lunch hour. The bench began to recognize the sound of his briefcase zipper. Sometimes, a couple passes. Closed together. Whispering. Smiling. Their arms brush as they walk. They rarely notice anything beyond one another. Once, the girl dropped a flower. The boy picked it up and tucked it behind her ear without pausing. That bloom stayed in her hair until they vanished around the corner. Children are the only ones who linger briefly, though they rarely sit. They spin, laugh, chase invisible goals. One reached out once and touched the bench with an open hand. Just once. Then ran to catch up with a friend. That warmth remained for hours. A man walks his dog every evening. The leash remains loose, relaxed. The dog sniffs the bench's legs but never climbs or jumps. The man always nods, not at anyone, not at the bench, just a general nod toward the world. As if acknowledging existence. As if saying, I see you. Once, a teenager skated by. Fast. Loud wheels. A sharp turn made dust swirl behind him. His music blared from a pocket speaker. It filled the alley for a few short seconds before fading like the beat of distant drums. He never looked back. An elderly lady once paused long enough to read the wall. Not that it held anything to read, just old paint, cracks, a few stubborn shadows. Still, she stared. Her lips moved, saying nothing to anyone. Then she adjusted her purse strap and walked on. Some pass while speaking into phones. Words spill out. Plans, frustrations, jokes, reminders. The bench hears them all but understands none. The tones matter more than content. Some voices sharp, others soft. Some sound tired, others joyful. But all move away quickly. There was once a man carrying a bouquet. He wasn't rushing. He walked with intention, yet without urgency. The flowers were bright. They moved gently with each step. The bench wondered where he was going, who would receive them, what occasion brought petals into such a quiet space. A woman with a suitcase passed during dusk. She looked over her shoulder often, scanning the street, the corners, the sky. Her pace was steady, but her eyes moved constantly. The wheels of her bag clacked softly on uneven stone. She never looked at the bench. During rainy days, people appear with umbrellas. They lean forward, shoulders hunched, faces hidden. Feet splash through puddles. They move with purpose, eager for shelter. The bench, soaked and glistening, waits alone as they pass without pause. One morning, a delivery worker stopped beside the bench, checked a slip of paper, shook his head, then turned around and left. His jacket was bright blue. His steps echoed. The alley returned to quiet immediately after. Sometimes, people jog, breath steady, arms pumping. They do not see the bench. They focus ahead. Music tucked into ears. Rhythm created by rubber soles against pavement. The bench feels their passing like a breeze. Sudden, strong, then gone. Street sweepers appear early. They move slowly. Brushes drag behind them. Bristles kiss ground, lifting dust, leaves, forgotten wrappers. The workers wear headphones, hats, reflective stripes. One of them once glanced at the bench. Just once. A man once limped by. One leg stiff. He leaned slightly, not from injury, but from years of practice. His eyes looked at nothing. His steps created a rhythm of imbalance, like a song missing every fourth beat. He never returned. Another passed often, always reading. Eyes fixed on a paperback, walking carefully but without hesitation. Pages turned slowly. One finger traced the lines. He never stumbled, never spoke, never looked up. Night brings a different kind of passerby. Less frequent, quieter, wrapped in coats, hands in pockets. They glance around more. Some look over their shoulders. Some whisper names. One once stopped nearby and lit a cigarette, watching the smoke curl. He stayed for a minute, maybe two, then walked into the shadows again. A young girl once ran through, chasing something unseen. Perhaps a paper bird, perhaps an idea. Her footsteps were light, almost floating. Her hair streamed behind her like a ribbon in wind. She never noticed the bench. But her presence lingered long after. People in uniforms sometimes appear. Not regularly. Maybe once every few weeks. Their shoes are polished. Their belts carry tools. They speak into radios. Their voices echo, clear and quick. They rarely stay long. They observe, record, move on. One autumn afternoon, a woman with long gray hair stood facing the wall for nearly a full minute. She didn't move. She didn't blink. Then she shook her head and walked away. No words. No sound. Just presence, then absence. People argue sometimes. Not loudly, but urgently. Their words tumble out like rocks. Fragments of sentences crash onto pavement. Then silence. Then footsteps. The bench never takes sides. It simply hears. During festivals, footsteps increase. Colors arrive. Bells jingle. Children shout. Groups move quickly. Decorations pass by. Streamers, hats, instruments. But the bench remains untouched. Part of the scene, yet never the focus. A teenager once took a photograph. Not of the bench, not of the wall, but upward, perhaps at clouds, birds, or the sun. The click of the camera shutter echoed faintly. He checked the screen, nodded, then continued. One man always carries a cane. He doesn't need it. It's part of him, more symbol than tool. He taps it twice before turning the corner. The sound is familiar now. The bench expects it weakly. Someone once passed singing. A soft tune. Unfamiliar. Gentle and full of memory. The melody wrapped around buildings before lifting skyward. The bench never heard it again. There are visitors who come only once. Strangers to the alley. Eyes wide. Slower steps. They glance around, searching for something. Directions. Perhaps. A memory. Maybe. They pass through and never return. Others walk by daily, unnoticed by most. But not by the bench. It remembers shoes, steps, postures. Not names. Not faces. Just presence. None of them sit. Not because the bench is uninviting. Not because they dislike it. But because they are moving. Always moving. Toward schedules, toward duties, toward destinations. The bench holds no urgency. It offers only stillness. And in that stillness, it bears witness. To hundreds of passers-by. To moments that pass like leaves on wind. To glances that never linger. Ye's noon fades. Time tilts forward slightly. Everything softens. No bells chime. No voice announces the moment. Yet something changes. The warmth grows fuller. Shadows shrink. Stillness grows heavier, not with discomfort, but with presence. Afternoon sunlight begins its quiet entrance. It starts as a low gold touch across stone. The light creeps along the alley's edge, patient and unhurried, as if it's waiting for permission. The bench welcomes it, not with movement, but through quiet acknowledgement. Its surface begins to glow, not brightly, but gently, like an ember beneath soft ash. The wall across the way transforms under this radiance. What once looked cold, distant, and gray now gleams with color the morning never revealed. Faint yellows, faint orange, even traces of beige rise out of nowhere. Each minute adds a layer, depth where there was once flatness, motion where there had only been still silence. Every groove becomes visible. Even imperfections gain personality. A crack near the top suddenly appears like a crooked river. Another mark lower down resembles a slow lightning bolt. Afternoon light doesn't exaggerate these things, it simply reveals them. The bench feels this attention too. Its wooden slats absorb the glow, softening under the sun's quiet caress. Warmth spreads through the grain. Nails embedded in the wood catch flickers, blinking like tiny forgotten stars. One of them reflects light upward, just for a moment, before turning dull again. A breeze arrives, late and lazy. It carries heat and silence in equal measure. No sharp gusts, no urgent messages. Just the steady exhale of a tired day. The air moves across the bench's armrest, glides over the seat, then drifts away without a trace. At this hour, insects become braver. One hovers nearby, tracing circles. Its wings blur in rapid motion, making a sound thinner than a whisper. It lands briefly, tapping against the wood before lifting again, continuing its meaningless flight. The scent of afternoon hangs differently. Morning smelled clean, a touch cool. This time, it's thicker. It holds dust. It carries sun-baked stone. Somewhere nearby, a flower must be blooming, though it's not visible. The fragrance floats past like a story someone forgot to finish telling. Far in the background, a dog barks once. Not urgently. Not playfully. Just a statement, cast into heat. The sound travels lazily, stretching through warm air. It touches the wall, then disappears. Clothing dries faster now. On balconies above, a bedsheet stirs, stiffened by heat. Its corners lift slightly, shadow dancing on brick. It sways without rhythm, following a current only it understands. Time becomes syrupy. Moments stretch. Even footsteps, fewer now, seem heavier. People walk slower, avoiding the sun's weight. One person wipes their forehead as they pass, muttering softly to no one. Their voice fades before any meaning reaches the bench. The sun tilts slightly westward. Shadows crawl out again, cautiously. The bench's shape returns slowly to the ground. First the legs, then the seat, then the backrest. Its silhouette leans forward, as if reaching across to touch the opposite wall. Ants reappear. They line up along the pavement, navigating invisible trails. One climbs the bench's leg, pauses near the middle, then turns around. Its journey, though small, seems purposeful. No one else notices. Paint on the wall dries further, flaking slightly in one corner. A single chip loosens and falls, spinning once before landing soundlessly below. Dust rises, tiny and unnoticed. But the bench sees. Heat builds beneath. Not uncomfortable, just present. The bench does not complain. It has always embraced what arrives. Cold, rain, wind, sun. Each one leaves fingerprints. This warmth, though, feels less like a visitor and more like a blanket, carefully tucked in. A child walks by eating fruit. Juice drips onto the ground. A sticky trail forms behind their shoes. A bee lands to investigate, buzzes once, then lifts off again. It is not disturbed by the bench. Nor is the bench disturbed by it. Above, a bird glides across open sky. No sound, no rush, just wings spread, body slicing through invisible currents. The sunlight catches the bird for a second, then lets go. A man nearby places a bottle on a step. Its label catches sunlight, glowing for a moment like fire. Condensation glistens, then drips onto the stone below. He lifts it, drinks, sighs. His voice echoes, low and brief. Then silence. Heat makes colors richer. Bricks darken. Rust along a nearby pipe appears deeper. Even the moss near the base of the wall glows more boldly than before. Afternoon paints everything thicker, fuller, more alive. And yet, nothing moves too quickly. The hour is patient. Every sound, every motion, arrives like a lullaby. A door closes gently in the distance. A bird chirps twice, then stops. An engine hums far away, then fades. A woman passes with an umbrella open, though there's no rain. Perhaps to block sunlight. Its fabric sways with each step. A pattern of flowers spins slightly. As she moves on, her shadow slides over the bench, then vanishes. The wall bears the sun's attention without complaint. Heat draws moisture from within, leaving faint patterns like ghostly vines. They stretch across the lower half, visible only when light hits just right. Leaves on a distant branch shimmer slightly. Not shaking, not fluttering, just reflecting. Their silver undersides blink at the bench, catching glimpses of brightness as they sway. A cyclist rolls by. Tires crunch gravel. A bell rings softly. Its tone rises, then fades like a thought forgotten mid-sentence. Beneath the bench, the pavement warms. The tiny stones embedded in the surface glow dully, holding onto the day's light. No foot disturbs them. No hand touches. They simply absorb. An old poster on the wall peels further. Its edges curl upward, straining against glue dried long ago. The picture once held color, now faded into pastels. A letter, barely legible, hints at something long since finished. A shadow creeps across that poster. The bench's own silhouette, growing taller as time moves on. The wall accepts it without resistance. They've shared this dance many times before. Somewhere behind, wind chimes sing faintly. Their notes flicker in and out like candlelight. The melody never repeats. No tune, just presence. A harmony with the hour. Dust glimmers in a thin beam near a second-floor window. Particles twirl as they descend, catching gold from the sun before vanishing into air. They never touch the bench, but the bench sees their descent with interest. A distant laugh reaches the alley. Not close, not loud, but real. It belongs to someone invisible. Perhaps behind a wall. Perhaps 2 streets over. The sound arrives, smiles, then continues on its way. The sun leans more now. Angles grow sharper. The bench's shadow stretches, spilling farther across stone. The wall's warmth dims slightly. Not retreating. Just yielding. Metal nearby creaks. Maybe a gate shifting. Maybe an air vent expanding. Heat causes things to stretch, to speak. The bench listens. It always listens. A sparrow lands momentarily. It hops twice along the wall's base, pecks once at nothing, then lifts away. Its wings beat rapidly, but the bench hears only wind. The afternoon wears on. Nothing grand occurs. No events. No arrivals. Just unfolding. Like pages of a book turned slowly, rhythmically, gently. Faint footsteps return. A girl with a paper bag passes. The scent of bread lingers. She does not look left or right. Her sandals slap softly. Then she is gone. Afternoon sunlight begins its long goodbye. Its intensity lessens. Shadows deepen. Edges blur again. The brightness that once clung to every object begins letting go. A cat emerges from a nearby alley. It pauses. Looks around. Then continues. Tail upright. Feet silent. It walks past the bench without concern. Without pause. The heat fades from the seat. The golden glow softens into amber. Everything cools, quietly. Light begins retreating toward rooftops, away from stone and wood. The bench accepts this transition. It has known this process countless times. It doesn't rush, doesn't resist. It simply continues. Another day moves forward. Another hour completes itself. And the sunlight, now barely touching the wall's edges, prepares to disappear. The bench remains. Always there. Always watching. Always waiting. As noon fades, time tilts forward slightly. Everything softens. No bells chime. No voice announces the moment. Yet something changes. The warmth grows fuller. Shadows shrink. Stillness grows heavier, not with discomfort, but with presence. Afternoon sunlight begins its quiet entrance. It starts as a low gold touch across stone. The light creeps along the alley's edge, patient and unhurried, as if it's waiting for permission. The bench welcomes it, not with movement, but through quiet acknowledgement. Its surface begins to glow, not brightly, but gently, like an ember beneath soft ash. The wall across the way transforms under this radiance. What once looked cold, distant, and grey now gleams with color the morning never revealed. Faint yellows, faint orange, even traces of beige rise out of nowhere. Each minute adds a layer, depth where there was once flatness, motion where there had only been still silence. Every groove becomes visible. Even imperfections gain personality. A crack near the top suddenly appears like a crooked river. Another mark lower down resembles a slow lightning bolt. Afternoon light doesn't exaggerate these things, it simply reveals them. The bench feels this attention too. Its wooden slats absorb the glow, softening under the sun's quiet caress. Warmth spreads through the grain. Nails embedded in the wood catch flickers, blinking like tiny forgotten stars. One of them reflects light upward, just for a moment, before turning dull again. A breeze arrives, late and lazy. It carries heat and silence in equal measure. No sharp gusts, no urgent messages. Just the steady exhale of a tired day. The air moves across the bench's armrest, glides over the seat, then drifts away without a trace. At this hour, insects become braver. One hovers nearby, tracing circles. Its wings blur in rapid motion, making a sound thinner than a whisper. It lands briefly, tapping against the wood before lifting again, continuing its meaningless flight. The scent of afternoon hangs differently. Morning smelled clean, a touch cool. This time, it's thicker. It holds dust. It carries sun-baked stone. Somewhere nearby, a flower must be blooming, though it's not visible. The fragrance floats past like a story someone forgot to finish telling. Far in the background, a dog barks once. Not urgently, not playfully, just a statement, cast into heat. The sound travels lazily, stretching through warm air. It touches the wall, then disappears. Clothing dries faster now. On balconies above, a bedsheet stirs, stiffened by heat. Its corners lift slightly, shadow dancing on brick. It sways without rhythm, following a current only it understands. Time becomes syrupy. Moments stretch. Even footsteps, fewer now, seem heavier. People walk slower, avoiding the sun's weight. One person wipes their forehead as they pass, muttering softly to no one. Their voice fades before any meaning reaches the bench. The sun tilts slightly westward. Shadows crawl out again, cautiously. The bench shape returns slowly to the ground. First the legs, then the seat, then the backrest. Its silhouette leans forward, as if reaching across to touch the opposite wall. Ants reappear. They line up along the pavement, navigating invisible trails. One climbs the bench's leg, pauses near the middle, then turns around. Its journey, though small, seems purposeful. No one else notices. Paint on the wall dries further, flaking slightly in one corner. A single chip loosens and falls, spinning once before landing soundlessly below. Dust rises, tiny and unnoticed. But the bench sees. Heat builds beneath. Not uncomfortable, just present. The bench does not complain. It has always embraced what arrives. Cold, rain, wind, sun. Each one leaves fingerprints. This warmth, though, feels less like a visitor and more like a blanket, carefully tucked in. A child walks by eating fruit. Juice drips onto the ground. A sticky trail forms behind their shoes. A bee lands to investigate, buzzes once, then lifts off again. It is not disturbed by the bench. Nor is the bench disturbed by it. Above, a bird glides across open sky. No sound, no rush, just wings spread, body slicing through invisible currents. The sunlight catches the bird for a second, then lets go. A man nearby places a bottle on a step. Its label catches sunlight, glowing for a moment like fire. Condensation glistens, then drips onto the stone below. He lifts it, drinks, sighs. His voice echoes, low and brief. Then silence. Heat makes colors richer. Bricks darken. Rust along a nearby pipe appears deeper. Even the moss near the base of the wall glows more boldly than before. Afternoon paints everything thicker, fuller, more alive. And yet, nothing moves too quickly. The hour is patient. Every sound, every motion, arrives like a lullaby. A door closes gently in the distance. A bird chirps twice, then stops. An engine hums far away, then fades. A woman passes with an umbrella open, though there's no rain. Perhaps to block sunlight. Its fabric sways with each step. A pattern of flowers spins slightly. As she moves on, her shadow slides over the bench, then vanishes. The wall bears the sun's attention without complaint. Heat draws moisture from within, leaving faint patterns like ghostly vines. They stretch across the lower half, visible only when light hits just right. Leaves on a distant branch shimmer slightly. Not shaking, not fluttering, just reflecting. Their silver undersides blink at the bench, catching glimpses of brightness as they sway. A cyclist rolls by. Tires crunch gravel. A bell rings softly. Its tone rises, then fades like a thought forgotten mid-sentence. Beneath the bench, the pavement warms. The tiny stones embedded in the surface glow dully, holding onto the day's light. No foot disturbs them. No hand touches. They simply absorb. An old poster on the wall peels further. Its edges curl upward, straining against glue dried long ago. The picture once held color, now faded into pastels. A letter, barely legible, hints at something long since finished. A shadow creeps across that poster. The bench's own silhouette, growing taller as time moves on. The wall accepts it without resistance. They've shared this dance many times before. Somewhere behind, wind chimes sing faintly. Their notes flicker in and out like candlelight. The melody never repeats. No tune, just presence. A harmony with the hour. Dust glimmers in a thin beam near a second-floor window. Particles twirl as they descend, catching gold from the sun before vanishing into air. They never touch the bench, but the bench sees their descent with interest. A distant laugh reaches the alley. Not close, not loud, but real. It belongs to someone invisible. Perhaps behind a wall. Perhaps 2 streets over. The sound arrives, smiles, then continues on its way. The sun leans more now. Angles grow sharper. The bench's shadow stretches, spilling farther across stone. The wall's warmth dims slightly. Not retreating. Just yielding. Metal nearby creaks. Maybe a gate shifting. Maybe an air vent expanding. Heat causes things to stretch, to speak. The bench listens. It always listens. A sparrow lands momentarily. It hops twice along the wall's base, pecks once at nothing, then lifts away. Its wings beat rapidly, but the bench hears only wind. The afternoon wears on. Nothing grand occurs. No events. No arrivals. Just unfolding. Like pages of a book turned slowly, rhythmically, gently. Faint footsteps return. A girl with a paper bag passes. The scent of bread lingers. She does not look left or right. Her sandals slap softly. Then she is gone. Afternoon sunlight begins its long goodbye. Its intensity lessens. Shadows deepen. Edges blur again. The brightness that once clung to every object begins letting go. A cat emerges from a nearby alley. It pauses. Looks around. Then continues. Tail upright. Feet silent. It walks past the bench without concern. Without pause. The heat fades from the seat. The golden glow softens into amber. Everything cools, quietly. Light begins retreating toward rooftops, away from stone and wood. The bench accepts this transition. It has known this process countless times. It doesn't rush, doesn't resist. It simply continues. Another day moves forward. Another hour completes itself. And the sunlight, now barely touching the wall's edges, prepares to disappear. Rain does not ask to enter. It arrives without knocking, without warning. Quiet at first, like fingers tapping softly on rooftops, windows, rusted gutters. Then it grows bolder. Drops become wider, heavier, more certain. The bench remembers. Every downpour, every drizzle. Each one a story of its own. The first time the sky opened, the wood had never felt moisture. It didn't know the sensation of water crawling along grain, or droplets clinging between joints. That day, clouds rolled in quietly. They weren't dark, not at first. Just a little thicker than usual. Then the temperature shifted, air turned dense, light dimmed. A hush settled over everything. The initial tap came from above. A singular note, striking metal behind a nearby pipe. Then another. Then more. The rhythm grew, covering space like a slow-moving blanket. For the bench, it was awakening in reverse. A return to something older. Something deeper. Trees had once soaked in weather before becoming parts. Now, again, those elements returned, reclaiming connection. Raindrops landed along the top slats. First with surprise, then consistency. Cold at first, then comforting. They streamed along edges, joined together, slipped over the curve of the backrest, traced paths down each leg, pooled briefly beneath, then vanished into thirsty ground. The sound of rainfall filled the alley. Not loud, not wild, but complete. It became the only noise that mattered. Tires in the distance hissed. Gutters overflowed. Tiny streams emerged where cracks had waited patiently. Pavement transformed into a canvas of ripples and movement. During storms, the wall changed too. Grays deepened. Lines blurred. The usual marks disappeared under layers of sheen. Paint darkened. Moss brightened. Everything took on a new appearance, as if made from glass instead of stone. One day, lightning cracked across the sky far above. Not directly overhead, but close enough to flash briefly in every reflective surface. Thunder followed, rolling like ancient drums, reminding the world that it could still be shaken. The bench didn't flinch. It had no fear of sound, only awareness. Heavy showers left traces. Afterward, the wooden seat remained damp for hours. Puddles lingered near the legs. Mud formed beneath, then dried into flaky crusts days later. Sometimes, a leaf stuck to the wet frame, pressed flat by rain and wind, held there until it withered away unnoticed. On certain afternoons, the clouds only wept a little. Short bursts. Soft sighs. Barely enough to soak the earth. These visits brought delicate motion. Drops danced rather than fell. Each one like a tiny visitor, brushing the surface once, then continuing its journey downward. Rain also brought solitude. People rarely passed through soaked alleys. Most stayed inside. Others rushed past holding coats above their heads, trying to remain untouched. Few stopped. Even fewer lingered. But once, someone did. It was late. The rain had started earlier, slow and soft. Then grew strong. One figure approached, hood drawn, steps uneven. They Saturday. Just for a moment. Water already soaked their jacket. Their breathing heavy. Steam rose from fabric warmed by movement. They said nothing. Looked nowhere. The wall offered its usual silence. The bench gave its presence. Together, they formed a shelter, not from weather, but from noise. From weight. From everything outside that moment. Then the figure stood. Walked away. Disappeared behind veils of falling water. The memory of that moment stayed. Rain also revealed sounds unnoticed in dry times. Drips echoing from drain pipes. Water racing along rooftop edges. Splashes from unseen buckets tipping over. Surfaces groaning as they absorbed cold wetness. Even silence after the rain had a different character. Thicker, slower, filled with echoes of what had just passed. One evening, a thunderstorm arrived quickly. Wind pushed droplets sideways. Trees bent. Bins rattled. An umbrella turned inside out nearby and was abandoned. It lay crumpled for days before someone removed it. That storm carved new lines into the ground. Channels formed along slopes. The bench watched them twist and braid, carving temporary rivers from stubborn earth. The wall across changed dramatically in these hours. Water streaked downward, smearing dust into uneven trails. Once, a poster peeled completely away under pressure, lifting in sections, then collapsing in soggy strips. As the storm ended, clouds cracked open slowly. Blue peeked through. Sunlight returned with hesitance. Steam rose from every surface. It didn't feel warm, not yet, but it hinted at warmth to come. Insects emerged again, crawling cautiously. Ants rebuilt lost paths. A beetle stumbled across a wet leaf, slipping before finding footing. Everything moved slower, as if recovering from a long sleep. The bench dried unevenly. Top surfaces cleared first. Corners remained soaked longer. Moisture lingered between slats. Each section healing in its own time. Not every rainy day brought drama. Some lasted hours without intensity. Just steady falling. Measured drops. The kind that softened everything. Sounds became rounder. Movements slower. The alley grew gentle. During one such afternoon, a man with a cane passed. His pace unchanged by wet ground. He wore a hat tilted forward. Water rolled from its brim in perfect arcs. He didn't look at the bench, but his presence felt different. Comforting. Familiar. Perhaps he had known rain long enough to welcome it. Another time, a child ran through puddles. Joy unhidden. Boots splashed. Arms outstretched. Their laughter rang like bells. Brief, sharp, then distant. The bench remembered that laugh long after the sun returned. Mornings after rain felt clean. Not just in scent. The entire alley seemed washed. Refreshed. Leaves brighter. Pavement darker. Even the wall seemed renewed, its surface reborn through water's touch. Raindrops left behind memories in shapes. Circles where splashes landed. Lines where runoff carved paths. Smears where dust became paint. 4 days, these shapes remained. Ghosts of movement. Art created by clouds. A moth once took shelter beneath the seat. Wings pressed tight. Still. Waiting. It remained there until the last drop had dried. Then lifted quietly, unnoticed. One summer storm came suddenly. No warning. No breeze beforehand. Only dark rolling clouds and immediate downpour. Everything transformed within minutes. Noise grew. Puddles formed instantly. The bench accepted each droplet without protest. Steam rose afterward in great sheets. Entire buildings seemed to exhale. The bench did too, in its way, releasing moisture back into the air, as if sharing breath with the alley. Seasons changed the nature of rainfall. Autumn brought softer showers. More leaves than water. Yellow foliage stuck to the bench surface. Sometimes 2, sometimes 3. They dried curled, then drifted away days later. Winter brought ice. Not snow, not here, but thin layers of frost. The bench knew the crackling sound of frozen droplets shifting at dawn. That delicate moment before melting began. Spring offered mist. Gentle, dreamy, barely there. The kind of moisture that kissed surfaces rather than soaked them. It shimmered in morning light, invisible by midday. Rain never rushed. It always moved with intention. It stayed only as long as needed. Then left, leaving behind coolness, quiet, and memory. The bench embraced every rainfall as a friend returning. Though no umbrella ever covered it, though no hand ever dried it off, it never complained. Moisture didn't damage it. Rain added character, texture, history. The wall never flinched either. It absorbed everything, welcomed each storm like a ritual, let itself be drenched, scrubbed, stained, and painted anew by falling sky. Both endured. Together. Separate, yet connected. After each rainfall, the bench felt different. Not changed. Not older. Just deeper. And with every passing cloud, every departing storm, it remained. Watching. Waiting. Listening. Not many stay. Most pass by, moving toward tasks, destinations, ideas. The bench watches them all but seldom shares their moments. It accepts this without sadness. It knows its place. It serves without expectation. Yet sometimes, someone stops. It happened during early evening. Light already softening. Air cooling slightly. Colors fading gently into muted tones. Everything calm. Footsteps approached, measured, heavy. No rush. No music. No companion. Just one person, walking with a kind of quiet weight. Their shoes scuffed the pavement with each step, producing low sounds that seemed to echo longer than usual. They wore a coat. Not thick, not thin. Worn enough to show time. Shoulders slouched. Hands hidden deep inside pockets. Head bowed slightly forward, not out of cold, but weariness. The bench saw them long before they Saturday. Saw how their posture spoke of distance. Not from place, but from energy, from noise, from everything beyond this quiet corridor. The wall, motionless, seemed to lean closer, sensing change in the atmosphere. The stranger paused beside the bench. Looked at the seat. Looked at the wall. Said nothing. Stayed standing. Then slowly, gently, lowered themselves onto the wooden surface. Not like someone eager to rest, but like someone who didn't want to fall. Weight pressed down. The bench accepted without resistance. No creak. No complaint. It simply offered what it had always given. Space, stillness, presence. The person exhaled. Not loudly, but with finality. Like releasing something they had carried too long. For several minutes, they didn't move. Just sat, back against slats, arms resting loosely at their sides. Legs stretched slightly forward, not crossed. Feet flat, steady. Their gaze remained downward, following cracks along the pavement. Sounds continued around them, distant engines, birds fluttering, wind brushing against a loose shutter, but none seemed to touch the visitor. They existed apart, like a figure behind glass. A sigh escaped again. This time softer. Not from exhaustion, but recognition. As if, for a moment, this still bench, this overlooked alley, this silent wall, felt like somewhere they could remain. Their eyes lifted briefly. Not to examine surroundings. Not to admire. Just to acknowledge. They noticed the moss at the wall's base. Their gaze followed a small crack tracing upward. Their shoulders eased slightly. Still, no words were spoken. No sounds made. The bench did not require conversation. It offered no replies. It simply stayed. The stranger leaned back, just a little. Let their body rest deeper into the seat. One arm rose, hand grazing the backrest. Fingertips slid along the edge, pausing over a groove carved long ago. They didn't press, just lingered. Time passed. Afternoon leaned toward dusk. Above, clouds shifted gently. No storm. No threat. Just movement. Sky fading to grayish blue. Light slipping slowly into the corners. The person remained still. Once, a bird chirped nearby. Sharp, short, then quiet again. The stranger's eyes flicked toward the sound. Lips curled slightly, almost forming something close to a smile, but didn't finish. Their shoes tapped once against the stone, adjusting position. A breath followed. Deeper than before. Not forced. Just real. Then their hand reached into a coat pocket. Fingers pulled out a small object, flat, square. A folded piece of paper. Slightly crumpled. Unfolded slowly, with care, as though each corner mattered. Eyes scanned the words. Lines written in pen, uneven, slanted. Whatever was written didn't make them react outwardly. No tears. No laughter. Only stillness. The note was folded again. Returned to its hiding place. The moment remained. A car passed nearby, unnoticed. A door slammed somewhere behind. Still the person Saturday. Then, slowly, they straightened. Shoulders rose slightly. Chin lifted. Eyes met the wall directly for the first time. They stared for a while. Not at cracks, not at patches, but through. As if looking at something only they could see. Maybe a memory. Maybe a decision. Maybe nothing at all. Then they stood. Not abruptly. Not reluctantly. But with care. Hands left pockets. Coat adjusted. Feet shifted slightly to regain balance. They turned, glanced down at the bench, just once, and nodded. Not to another person. Not to themselves. But to the bench. Then walked away. Same pace. Same rhythm. Disappearing slowly into fading light. The seat remained warm. Would held the echo of their presence long after footsteps vanished. Nothing spoken. Yet everything said. The bench didn't need to remember details. It remembered feeling. Not weight, but intention. Not form, but essence. The way tiredness had softened into stillness. The way stillness had almost become peace. This visit became part of its story. Unwritten. Unrecorded. But never forgotten. Hours passed. Darkness came gently. Light poles flickered on. Wind returned, carrying the chill of night. But something remained. Not tangible. Not visible. A residue of that brief connection. Someone had chosen to stop. To pause. To rest, not just their body, but something deeper. And in return, the bench had done what it always did. Nothing, and everything. The wall resumed watching. The alley exhaled. Another day ended. But that memory stayed. Longer than footprints. Deeper than scratches. Quieter than shadows. Just a tired stranger. And a bench willing to receive. Time does not stop, but sometimes it slows. Between the golden warmth of afternoon and the cool breath of evening lies a quiet stretch, a gentle drifting. A space where light fades without rushing, where air cools without sharpness, where every shadow learns how to stretch a little longer. The bench feels it first. Not through sight, not from clocks or bells, but through softness, edges losing their sharpness, sounds becoming rounder, colors gently draining from surfaces. The day begins leaning forward, folding itself into something lighter, something slower. Above, the sun begins dipping beyond rooftops. Its light, once bold and direct, now glides sideways. Everything glows a little longer before dimming. Even the wall across the way blushes briefly, wearing colors not seen since morning. Dust motes become visible again, dancing through beams that pierce between buildings. Long shapes begin creeping along the pavement. The bench watches its own form spill out before it, longer, thinner, more defined. A shape born of light leaving slowly. Not a reflection, not a twin, but a quiet echo. The breeze changes character. Once warm, now cooler. Once lazy, now thoughtful. It doesn't move faster, but it carries something different. Hints of night. Promises of rest. A distant window closes. Its latch clicks softly, the sound barely carried through the air. Another window opens above. Fabric flutters gently, hanging like a tired flag. Faint voices rise briefly, blending into a lullaby of domestic sounds. Cutlery tapping, water running, doors creaking in unison. Leaves tremble slightly, not from wind, but from temperature falling. Even the trees seem to breathe slower. Their limbs sway more freely, as if released from the stiffness brought by heat. The bench remains still. It always does. But something inside shifts, an awareness, a recognition. The end of day has arrived. Not final, not loud, just present. A man walks past holding a paper bag. He doesn't hurry. He doesn't linger. The bag crinkles softly in his grasp. Its contents unknown, but its weight changes the rhythm of his steps. He glances once toward the bench, not out of interest, but habit. Eyes flick toward wood, then away, continuing forward into lengthening shade. Further down the alley, a light turns on. A bulb behind frosted glass hums to life. It doesn't illuminate much, just enough to push back the coming dark for a while. Its glow lands faintly on the wall, painting one corner in soft amber. Shadows grow bolder. They creep along buildings, tuck under cars, stretch beneath trees. The bench watches them merge, layering over one another like folded cloth. A bicycle coasts by, no pedaling, just motion. Wheels whisper across stone. No bell, no conversation. Just movement through deepening stillness. Birds sing less. Their songs become simpler, shorter. One calls. Another answers. Then silence. A final chirp. Then nothing. They retreat to branches, rooftops, wires, tucking feathers under wings, eyes blinking slow. Clouds above catch the last light. Their undersides bloom orange, lavender, rose. Then dim. Color leaves quietly, draining upward into sky. Darkness doesn't fall. It arrives on tiptoe. Even the air smells different now. Afternoon's heat no longer steams pavement. Instead, an earthy scent emerges. Stone cooling. Dust settling. Flowers closing. Grass remembering dew. The wall's features blur. Cracks once obvious now dissolve. Paint flakes no longer shine. The snail trail dried earlier vanishes completely. Faded graffiti becomes indistinguishable from shadow. A cat appears near the far corner. It walks softly, each step deliberate. Whiskers twitch. Tail sways behind. It pauses near the bench, ears alert, body still. Then, without sound, moves on, swallowed by growing dusk. Somewhere nearby, laughter echoes, faint, shared between two figures unseen. A door shuts, muffling it. The bench catches only the edge of that moment, the outline of joy. Streetlights hum, their filaments warming slowly. Each pole flickers before committing. One by one, halos bloom overhead. Circles of soft yellow stretching across uneven ground. Bugs begin dancing. Not many, just a few, drawn toward the warmth of light. They spiral upward, then dart sideways. Invisible by day, now revealed. The bench's wood reflects less now. Sunlight gone, only artificial rays glance its surface. A dull shine appears where countless hands once touched. Faint evidence of presence. From somewhere deeper within the neighborhood, music plays. Not loud, not lyrical. Instrumental notes float gently through the air. Piano, maybe, or strings. Not meant for anyone in particular. Just existing. The alley grows quieter. Each sound spaced further apart. Each footstep slower. Each engine more distant. A woman walks by carrying a sweater across her arm. Her pace matches the hour, unhurried, thoughtful. She looks ahead, eyes half-lidded, perhaps tired, perhaps just thoughtful. Her shoes brush against the sidewalk, quiet. She doesn't sit. The bench doesn't mind. A moth flutters past. Wings catching light once, twice, then gone. Drawn toward brightness, always returning to shadow. The temperature dips another degree. Wood begins to cool. The bench adjusts, silently accommodating every shift. Its slats breathe out warmth, welcome chill. No resistance. Above, stars blink awake, one by one. First in corners. then across wider stretches. The sky opens slowly, revealing itself. Velvet darkness spreading patiently. Moonlight hasn't reached here yet, but it will. Soon. Its glow will slide between buildings, curl across corners, kiss old bricks. The bench waits. An older man wanders past. Cane tapping rhythm on pavement. Hat pulled low. He hums quietly, a tune without name. Each step deliberate. Each pause meaningful. He does not glance toward the bench. But the bench sees him. The hour deepens. Light recedes. Stillness settles. And the bench, unmoving, welcomes the turning of another page. What began as heat, noise, brightness, laughter, has softened into hush, glow, space, reflection. Evening, full now, wraps the alley like a slow-moving river. And still the bench remains. Watching the shift. Feeling the breath between day and night. Knowing, once again, everything has changed, without anything needing to move. Stillness is not a lack of movement. It is not the absence of life, of sound, of energy. Stillness is an invitation. A pause. A space where everything can simply be, without need for change. It is not an emptiness. It is a fullness in itself, a moment stretched wide, where each second is both a beginning and an end, held together in quiet balance. The bench knows stillness intimately. It feels it in the wood, in the metal joints that hold it together, in the legs that touch the earth beneath. It knows stillness in every crack, in every grain, in every inch of its surface. And in that stillness, it finds peace. There are no demands on the bench. No expectations. No rush. It is not required to go anywhere, to do anything, to change. It is simply there. In the alley. In the shadow of the wall. Watching. Waiting. And, perhaps, listening. The world around it shifts constantly. People come and go. Days pass. Seasons change. But the bench stays in place. Unmoved. Unchanged. It does not wish to be anywhere else. It does not wish for anything more than what it already has. There is no frustration in its stillness. No longing. No desire. There is only acceptance. The bench is not a spectator, though it watches. It is not waiting, though it sits. It is not alone, though it seems so. In stillness, it connects to everything. To the sky above, to the earth below, to the air that moves between. It is part of the alley, part of the day, part of the evening. It is woven into the fabric of time, unnoticed by most, yet deeply tied to it. When people sit upon it, they do not change its nature. They cannot disturb its stillness. They come with their own restlessness, with their own thoughts and worries, their own lives. But when they sit, the bench simply accepts them. It holds them, offering support, offering peace, offering space. It does not ask for anything in return. It does not require gratitude. It simply gives. In return, the bench learns from those who sit. It learns how to hold their weight, how to be firm yet gentle, how to remain steady even when everything around it shifts. It learns the rhythm of each person who comes and goes, the way their bodies shift, the way they breathe, the way they settle into the space. Some people sit with purpose. They have somewhere to be. They have thoughts to think, tasks to complete, things to solve. They glance at their phones, they check their watches, they sigh in impatience. The bench feels that too, the subtle restlessness that pulses beneath their still bodies. But the bench does not try to fix it. It does not try to offer a solution. It simply offers its presence, its stillness, as a quiet reminder that sometimes, simply being is enough. Other people sit without hurry. They lean back with a sigh, releasing the tension they have carried through their day. They close their eyes and breathe deeply, letting the world move around them while they stay rooted in this one small space. In those moments, the bench feels the softness of their presence, the stillness that settles between them and the world. It can feel the weight of their thoughts, their worries, their stories. And it holds all of it without asking, without judgment, without change. The bench is not a place for distractions. It does not offer comfort in the way a chair might, or a couch might, or a soft bed. It does not invite movement, does not offer soft cushions or blankets. It is a place for quiet, for reflection, for rest. It is not designed for entertainment or excitement. It is designed for stillness. Stillness is not the absence of life. It is the space where life breathes freely, without the need to move or speak or do. It is the moment between heartbeats, between breaths, between thoughts. It is the space where everything can exist, simply as it is, without interference. And in that stillness, there is peace. There is comfort. There is room to breathe. The bench knows this peace well. It does not yearn for more. It does not ask for anything beyond what it is. It does not seek to change or grow. It is simply itself. And in that simplicity, it finds freedom. Stillness does not mean nothing is happening. It does not mean the world is not moving around you. It simply means that you are not caught up in the rush of it all. You are not swept away by the current of time, by the noise, by the urgency. You are anchored. You are present. You are here, now, in this moment. And in that moment, you are enough. The bench knows that in stillness, everything is as it should be. The sun sets without hurry. The shadows stretch without force. The world shifts, but only because it is meant to. The bench does not try to change any of it. It does not wish for anything different. It simply watches. It simply waits. And in that waiting, it is part of everything. It is part of the flow of time, the ebb and flow of life. It is a witness to the world, but not a participant. There is a certain beauty in this. A beauty in being still. A beauty in being present without needing to act, to move, to do. The bench understands this beauty, for it has always known it. It has always been still. It has always been present. As the sun dips lower and the shadows grow longer, the bench remains. It holds the quiet space between day and night, between moments of activity and moments of rest. It knows that in stillness, it holds everything. It holds time. It holds people. It holds memories. Stillness is not the absence of life. It is the fullness of it. It is the quiet hum beneath everything. It is the space where all things are allowed to be, simply as they are, without need for change. It is the pause between breaths, the silence between words, the space between heartbeats. It is the place where everything begins and everything ends. And the bench, in all its quiet simplicity, holds that space. In its stillness, the bench finds its purpose. It does not need to move, to shift, to hurry. It does not need to change or grow. It simply needs to be. And in being, it offers a place for others to rest, to pause, to breathe. In its quiet, steady way, the bench is part of the world, part of the rhythm of time, part of the flow of life. And in that stillness, there is peace. As the day fades, it slips into something softer. The last traces of sunlight vanish, leaving behind a faint glow in the distance. The world seems to exhale, a collective breath released as shadows stretch longer, cooler. Everything becomes quieter, more still. The sounds of the day retreat, replaced by the hushed whispers of night. The bench remains unchanged. It doesn't move, doesn't hurry. It simply waits, steady and present. The cool evening air brushes across the wood, sending a slight shiver through the slats. The feeling is not uncomfortable, only different. It is the transition from one moment to the next, from one world to another. Above, the sky darkens slowly, fading from shades of indigo to the deep velvet of night. Stars begin to appear one by one, distant, small, like diamonds scattered across an endless black canvas. The moon, not yet full, casts a pale light over everything. A soft glow that doesn't demand attention but simply exists, gentle and constant. The alley, once bright and busy, grows quieter. Fewer people pass. The noise of the city fades into the distance, becoming muffled, distant. The only sounds left are the occasional rustle of leaves, the soft murmur of the wind, and the creaking of branches as they shift in the breeze. The bench feels it, the change in atmosphere, the shift in the world around it. The air grows cooler, the shadows deepen. The wall opposite, once bathed in the fading light of day, now disappears into the night, its edges blurring, becoming indistinguishable from the darkness. The faint marks on its surface, scratches, cracks, remnants of years, become less noticeable. They fade into the background, lost in the quiet, as the night covers them like a blanket. The streetlights flicker on one by one, their yellow glow casting long shadows across the alley. They don't shine brightly, but they don't need to. The gentle glow is enough to define shapes, to give the world a quiet structure. The bench, for a moment, becomes part of that soft geometry, its form outlined in pale light, its edges softly lit but not sharp. The night holds it, cradles it in its cool embrace. A cat prowls through the alley, its eyes glinting in the darkness. It moves silently, its footsteps muffled by the soft earth. The bench notices it, watches as it slips past, undisturbed, a part of the quiet night. The cat doesn't pause. It doesn't sit. It moves on, as if it has somewhere else to be, as if the world doesn't stop for anyone. The breeze picks up again, though it doesn't feel cold. Just cool enough to be felt, like a whispered secret. It flows gently through the alley, sweeping past the bench, curling around corners, rustling leaves that are just beginning to settle for the night. It doesn't force anything to move. It simply stirs the air, carrying the scent of damp earth and fading flowers. The bench doesn't move with the breeze, but it feels it. It feels the shift in the atmosphere, the way the air feels different at night. The subtle coolness, the deeper quiet, the way everything seems to pause, as if waiting for something to happen, yet nothing does. Night is not an event. It is not a sudden change. It doesn't arrive with drama or noise. It comes quietly, slipping into the world like the softest sigh. It takes its time. It wraps itself around everything, drawing the day to a close, but doing so gently, without fanfare. The alley now feels different. Not empty, but full of potential. The quiet is not an absence, but a presence. The bench feels it in the air, in the way the shadows stretch across the ground, in the way the temperature cools. It is a quiet reminder that everything must rest. The day has finished. The world is still. And in that stillness, there is peace. A soft creaking sound breaks the silence. It is the bench, adjusting slightly under its own weight. It doesn't groan. It doesn't protest. It simply moves, a slow shift as if settling deeper into the earth beneath it. The movement is subtle, barely noticeable, but it is there. It is the bench's way of saying that it, too, is part of the night. The sound of distant traffic, once a constant hum, now fades into nothing. The city's heartbeat slows. People who were once bustling through their routines are now tucked away in homes, in quiet rooms. The bench, ever patient, waits for them. It is not lonely. It is simply still. It has always been still. And in that stillness, it feels connected to everything. The wall across the alley stands, unmoving. It is darker now, its surface barely visible under the dim light of the street lamps. But it is still there, steady and constant. The cracks, the stains, the bits of forgotten graffiti, they are all still there, even though they are harder to see now. The wall does not need to be noticed. It does not need to be understood. It simply is. The stars above shine brighter as the night deepens. They twinkle softly, their light coming from so far away that it feels like a secret. The moon glows steadily, its light never wavering, never rushing. It is a steady presence in the sky, a quiet reminder that time continues to move, even when the world around it stands still. The bench feels the weight of the night. Not heavy, but present. It is a weight that settles comfortably, like a blanket that has been laid carefully over everything. The world is softer now, quieter. Everything is allowed to rest. A low whistle cuts through the stillness. It is the wind, slipping between buildings, finding gaps, blowing through alleys. It doesn't rush. It doesn't shout. It is a soft, steady breath. The bench feels it again, this time more clearly, as the air moves past it, brushing against its surface. The wind carries no urgency, no message. It is simply there, like everything else in the night. The temperature continues to drop, but the bench doesn't feel the cold the way others might. Wood and metal don't feel the chill as skin does. They absorb the change, but they do not shiver. They are patient. They wait for the night to pass, just as they wait for the morning. The city is settling into its night rhythm. The sounds of life have quieted. Even the far-off hum of traffic has faded, leaving only the occasional car passing on a distant road. The bench knows this rhythm. It knows how to be part of it without disrupting it. It doesn't need to move. It doesn't need to act. It simply is. The alley grows darker still. The last of the light from the setting sun fades completely. The moon rises higher, its glow becoming stronger, more present. It reflects softly off the surface of the bench, illuminating the edges just enough to remind it that it is still part of the world. Even in the darkness, the bench is present. Even in the stillness, it remains. Night is not something that happens to the world. It is part of it, a natural companion to the day. Without night, the day would never end. Without the quiet of night, the sounds of the day would lose their meaning. The bench knows this. It understands that both day and night are necessary, that the world must balance between light and dark, between noise and silence. In the quiet of the night, the bench holds its place, holding the space between moments, between breaths. It does not need to be anywhere else. It does not need to do anything else. It is simply where it is, and in that simplicity, there is peace. As the night deepens, everything slows. The world sleeps, even the city. The bench waits, as it always has, as it always will. It is a part of the night, a part of the world that exists without needing to be seen or heard. In the quiet darkness, it finds its place, its purpose, its peace. The streetlights flicker to life, one by one, like soft whispers in the growing darkness. They rise slowly, casting a faint yellow light into the alley. Each light is a small sun of its own, but not loud, not harsh. They glow quietly, unassuming, their soft glow painting the edges of the world in muted tones. The night has been thick, full of shadow, but the lights now begin to carve shapes from the darkness, one fragile piece at a time. The bench feels the change. Not physically, but in the air. It senses the shift as the world becomes gently outlined by the lights. Each bulb hums faintly, an imperceptible sound, a low vibration that threads through the cool air. The hum is not invasive. It does not dominate the quiet. It simply accompanies it, adding depth to the calm. The light from the first lamp spills over the pavement, stretching long fingers into the alley. It pools near the bench, softening the lines of the concrete and wood. The shadows retreat ever so slightly, as if the world is beginning to wake up from its deep rest. The walls across the way seem to exhale, their rough surfaces less sharp now, bathed in the soft light. Even the cracks seem to soften, the faded graffiti taking on new meaning in the pale illumination. One by one, the streetlights hum and flicker, casting their soft halos into the night. A single beam stretches across the bench, lighting its edges, creating a stark contrast between light and dark. The bench feels both the warmth and the coolness of the night in equal measure. The streetlight above doesn't chase the darkness away. It simply makes it less dense, less overwhelming. The shadows become more defined, their edges sharper but still gentle. They begin to stretch toward one another, finding their places in the world of light and dark. The streetlights do not cast a harsh glare. Their light is not bold. It is subtle, like a sigh, like a secret shared between night and morning. The air is cool now, but the benches feel nothing of that coldness. They are unmovable, unshifting. As the lights grow, they stand still, offering their presence to the world. The hum of the lights, too, becomes a part of the stillness, adding its own rhythm to the quiet. The lamp nearest to the bench buzzes faintly. Not loud, but enough to be noticed. It vibrates softly, its light a warm glow beneath the cover of night. The glow doesn't reach far. It is contained within its sphere of influence. The bench watches the world within its reach change, the edges of its form becoming more distinct as the light meets it. The alley itself seems more alive now, as the lights flicker into full brightness. The road stretches long and empty ahead, but the warmth from the lights draws attention to small details. The outline of a cracked pavement, the edge of a forgotten object left on the sidewalk, a wind-blown piece of trash caught in a crevice. These small things now come into view, illuminated by the warm light, making them visible where before they were unnoticed, hidden in shadow. The bench has stood through all of this. Through all the changes, the moments that pass, and the night that descends. It does not ask to be noticed. It does not demand attention. It simply waits, receiving whatever comes its way. And tonight, it receives the soft glow of the streetlights. A car passes, its headlights cutting through the street in sharp, bright streaks. For a moment, the alley is alive with motion, with noise, with speed. But the bench does not follow the car. It does not turn its gaze toward it. It simply remains, unmoving, unaffected by the speed of the world around it. The car fades into the distance, leaving only the hum of the streetlights and the subtle movements of the evening behind. The buzz of the lights becomes more pronounced now, filling the gaps left by the car's absence. The night itself takes on a new dimension. It becomes filled with possibility, filled with expectation, as the world is caught between light and dark, between movement and stillness. Another figure passes by, this one a jogger, moving swiftly through the alley. The lights flicker briefly as they run past, but the jogger does not stop. The bench watches the jogger, their legs moving with purpose, their body in rhythm with the time. The jogger's footsteps are soft, muted, but they still carry weight. The bench knows the weight of footsteps. It knows the rhythm of steps that pass it by. The jogger doesn't stop to rest. They don't pause to linger. They simply pass, moving through the space the bench occupies. The bench feels the absence of these people who come and go. It feels the presence of those who stop, who sit, who rest. It does not differentiate between the two. It simply observes. It holds each moment as it comes, whether it is quick or slow, fleeting or lasting. It is not a place to linger, but a place to pause, to rest, to breathe. The bench understands this. It understands the importance of each passing second. It knows that time moves in many ways. For some, it moves quickly, filled with movement and intention. For others, time moves slowly, filled with rest and quiet. The bench knows the difference. It knows that some moments are fleeting, and others are eternal. And in its stillness, the bench is able to hold them all. The light from the streetlights continues to spill across the pavement. It moves in gentle waves, expanding and retreating with each passing second. The light does not fight the darkness. It simply coexists with it. It allows the shadows to stretch, to grow, to find their place in the world. The balance between light and dark is not a struggle, but a dance. It is the way the world has always been and will always be. The alley, once dim and quiet, now comes to life. The streetlights guide the way, shedding light on what was once hidden. The pavement shines softly beneath the glow. The shadows stretch long and quiet, folding into corners, into crevices, into the spaces between the lights. The bench remains, steady and still, as it has always been. It does not move. It does not rush to catch up with the world. It simply waits. It watches. And in that waiting, it becomes part of the world it inhabits. It becomes part of the rhythm of the night, part of the quiet pulse of time as it passes, slowly and gently. The streetlights buzz softly, steady and constant. The night stretches on. The world continues to move, to shift, to change. And the bench remains at the heart of it all, unbroken, unbothered, unchanged. It watches. It waits. It holds the moments as they pass, quietly, without judgment, without haste. And in the quiet glow of the streetlights, the bench becomes one with the world. It holds its place in the story, a silent witness to everything that unfolds. It does not ask for anything, but in its stillness, it receives everything. The streetlights flicker to life, one by one, like soft whispers in the growing darkness. They rise slowly, casting a faint yellow light into the alley. Each light is a small sun of its own, but not loud, not harsh. They glow quietly, unassuming, their soft glow painting the edges of the world in muted tones. The night has been thick, full of shadow, but the lights now begin to carve shapes from the darkness, one fragile piece at a time. The bench feels the change. Not physically, but in the air. It senses the shift as the world becomes gently outlined by the lights. Each bulb hums faintly, an imperceptible sound, a low vibration that threads through the cool air. The hum is not invasive. It does not dominate the quiet. It simply accompanies it, adding depth to the calm. The light from the first lamp spills over the pavement, stretching long fingers into the alley. It pools near the bench, softening the lines of the concrete and wood. The shadows retreat ever so slightly, as if the world is beginning to wake up from its deep rest. The walls across the way seem to exhale, their rough surfaces less sharp now, bathed in the soft light. Even the cracks seem to soften, the faded graffiti taking on new meaning in the pale illumination. One by one, the streetlights hum and flicker, casting their soft halos into the night. A single beam stretches across the bench, lighting its edges, creating a stark contrast between light and dark. The bench feels both the warmth and the coolness of the night in equal measure. The streetlight above doesn't chase the darkness away. It simply makes it less dense, less overwhelming. The shadows become more defined, their edges sharper but still gentle. They begin to stretch toward one another, finding their places in the world of light and dark. The streetlights do not cast a harsh glare. Their light is not bold. It is subtle, like a sigh, like a secret shared between night and morning. The air is cool now, but the benches feel nothing of that coldness. They are unmovable, unshifting. As the lights grow, they stand still, offering their presence to the world. The hum of the lights, too, becomes a part of the stillness, adding its own rhythm to the quiet. The lamp nearest to the bench buzzes faintly. Not loud, but enough to be noticed. It vibrates softly, its light a warm glow beneath the cover of night. The glow doesn't reach far. It is contained within its sphere of influence. The bench watches the world within its reach change, the edges of its form becoming more distinct as the light meets it. The alley itself seems more alive now, as the lights flicker into full brightness. The road stretches long and empty ahead, but the warmth from the lights draws attention to small details. The outline of a cracked pavement, the edge of a forgotten object left on the sidewalk, a wind-blown piece of trash caught in a crevice. These small things now come into view, illuminated by the warm light, making them visible where before they were unnoticed, hidden in shadow. The bench has stood through all of this. Through all the changes, the moments that pass, and the night that descends. It does not ask to be noticed. It does not demand attention. It simply waits, receiving whatever comes its way. And tonight, it receives the soft glow of the streetlights. A car passes, its headlights cutting through the street in sharp, bright streaks. For a moment, the alley is alive with motion, with noise, with speed. But the bench does not follow the car. It does not turn its gaze toward it. It simply remains, unmoving, unaffected by the speed of the world around it. The car fades into the distance, leaving only the hum of the streetlights and the subtle movements of the evening behind. The buzz of the lights becomes more pronounced now, filling the gaps left by the car's absence. The night itself takes on a new dimension. It becomes filled with possibility, filled with expectation, as the world is caught between light and dark, between movement and stillness. Another figure passes by, this one a jogger, moving swiftly through the alley. The lights flicker briefly as they run past, but the jogger does not stop. The bench watches the jogger, their legs moving with purpose, their body in rhythm with the time. The jogger's footsteps are soft, muted, but they still carry weight. The bench knows the weight of footsteps. It knows the rhythm of steps that pass it by. The jogger doesn't stop to rest. They don't pause to linger. They simply pass, moving through the space the bench occupies. The bench feels the absence of these people who come and go. It feels the presence of those who stop, who sit, who rest. It does not differentiate between the two. It simply observes. It holds each moment as it comes, whether it is quick or slow, fleeting or lasting. It is not a place to linger, but a place to pause, to rest, to breathe. The bench understands this. It understands the importance of each passing second. It knows that time moves in many ways. For some, it moves quickly, filled with movement and intention. For others, time moves slowly, filled with rest and quiet. The bench knows the difference. It knows that some moments are fleeting, and others are eternal. And in its stillness, the bench is able to hold them all. The light from the streetlights continues to spill across the pavement. It moves in gentle waves, expanding and retreating with each passing second. The light does not fight the darkness. It simply coexists with it. It allows the shadows to stretch, to grow, to find their place in the world. The balance between light and dark is not a struggle, but a dance. It is the way the world has always been and will always be. The alley, once dim and quiet, now comes to life. The streetlights guide the way, shedding light on what was once hidden. The pavement shines softly beneath the glow. The shadows stretch long and quiet, folding into corners, into crevices, into the spaces between the lights. The bench remains, steady and still, as it has always been. It does not move. It does not rush to catch up with the world. It simply waits. It watches. And in that waiting, it becomes part of the world it inhabits. It becomes part of the rhythm of the night, part of the quiet pulse of time as it passes, slowly and gently. The streetlights buzz softly, steady and constant. The night stretches on. The world continues to move, to shift, to change. And the bench remains at the heart of it all, unbroken, unbothered, unchanged. It watches. It waits. It holds the moments as they pass, quietly, without judgment, without haste. And in the quiet glow of the streetlights, the bench becomes one with the world. It holds its place in the story, a silent witness to everything that unfolds. It does not ask for anything, but in its stillness, it receives everything. The wall stands quietly across from the bench. It has no voice, no heartbeat, no breath. But it has a story, nonetheless. A story that is written not in words but in marks, in lines, in the slow passage of time. It is a story of presence, of stillness, of endurance. And though the wall does not speak, it tells its story every day, quietly, softly, without interruption. The wall has witnessed more than it could ever describe. It has seen the world shift around it, seen people come and go, heard the hum of the city, the rustle of the leaves, the cry of the birds, the whispers of the wind. It has stood through the seasons, through the years, through the quiet passage of time that touches everything. Its surface is not smooth. It is rough, textured, worn. The paint has peeled in places, the stone has weathered with time. Yet there is beauty in this imperfection. The wall is not flawless, but it is real. It bears the marks of its history, the scars of its age. Each crack, each chip, each stain is part of its story. It is not a clean slate. It is a record of time. The first cracks appeared many years ago. They were small at first, barely noticeable, the kind of thing you might not see unless you were looking for it. But over time, those small cracks grew. They spread like veins through the surface, deepening, widening, taking shape. The wall did not try to stop them. It did not fight them. It simply allowed them to exist, as part of its journey, as part of its natural rhythm. Some of the cracks were caused by weather, by rain that fell and soaked into the stone, by sun that beat down relentlessly, by the wind that howled through the alley, carrying dust and debris. Some of the marks were caused by the people who passed by. Hands that brushed against it, fingers that left behind fingerprints, items that scraped against its surface. The wall has felt it all, from the smallest touch to the deepest scratch. It has been scarred, worn, and weathered by time, but it has never broken. The wall has been painted, many times over. Its surface has been covered and uncovered. Its colors have changed with the seasons, with the years. Once, it was a bright white, fresh and new, standing tall and proud. Over time, the white faded, chipped away, and was replaced by shades of gray, then brown, then darker tones. Some areas still hold traces of the old paint, now a faint memory, like a ghost of what once was. The wall has accepted these changes, as it has accepted everything else. It does not hold on to the past. It simply lets it go, as it always has. Once, someone painted a message on it. It was simple, just a few words in bold letters, but it lasted for years. The words faded over time, but the outline remained, a soft shadow of what once was. No one knows what the words meant. Perhaps they were a declaration, perhaps a mark of ownership, perhaps a cry for attention. Whatever they were, they left their mark on the wall, and the wall carried that mark for as long as it could. Eventually, the words were covered, painted over, but the outline remained. A faint memory of something once said, now lost to time. And then there were the posters. Posters that were taped to the wall, their bright colors and bold text a stark contrast against the rough surface. Some posters stayed for a day, others for weeks. Some were torn down quickly, others weathered the storms and the rain. The edges of these posters curled and faded, their once vibrant colors now pale and worn. The wall held them all, silently, watching as each one came and went. It did not judge. It did not react. It simply held them, as it has held everything that has ever touched it. The wall has been touched by hands, by eyes, by the soft brush of the wind. It has felt the weight of the world, carried the marks of those who have come and gone. It has been a silent witness to the ebb and flow of life, to the comings and goings of people, to the quiet moments and the loud ones. It has seen it all, and it has held it all. There are other marks on the wall too. Deep gouges, scratches that cut through the surface, leaving behind scars. These marks were not made by the weather or the passage of time. They were made by people. By hands that left their mark, by things that were carelessly thrown, by moments of frustration, of anger, of emotion. The wall bears these marks with no judgment, with no resistance. It simply accepts them, as it accepts all things that come its way. And then there is the moss. The small, green patches that appear at the bottom, creeping up from the cracks, finding their way through the stone. It is a quiet presence, a soft touch of life in the midst of the wall's rough, weathered surface. The moss doesn't ask for attention. It simply grows, slowly, steadily, finding its place among the cracks and the chips. The wall doesn't mind it. It doesn't push it away. It simply allows it to exist, as part of the natural order, as part of the world it inhabits. As the seasons change, so too does the wall. The rain that falls in the spring leaves behind streaks, smudging the surface, darkening the cracks. The summer sun beats down, drying the surface, pulling the moisture from the stones. The wind blows, carrying dust and dirt, leaving it behind in the corners and crevices. The wall doesn't fight it. It doesn't resist. It simply lets the world shape it, as it always has. And with each change, the wall becomes more itself. More worn, more weathered, more real. Each mark, each crack, each stain adds to its story. It is not perfect. It is not new. It is not untouched. But it is real. It is part of the world. It is part of the time that passes, part of the rhythm of life that moves through everything. At night, the wall becomes something else. It is no longer a place to be seen. It becomes a shadow, a silhouette against the dark sky. The streetlights cast faint shadows across it, outlining the cracks and the chips, the rough edges and the smooth patches. The wall becomes a part of the night, a quiet presence in the darkness. It holds the secrets of the day, the memories of those who have passed, the marks of the world that has touched it. As morning comes again, the wall wakes up slowly. The light filters through, bathing it in a soft glow. The moss that has settled overnight becomes more visible, its green edges contrasting against the pale stone. The cracks and chips stand out in the early light, their deep lines clear against the soft gray. The wall has returned, unchanged, but always shifting, always adapting, always part of the world around it. The bench feels it too. The wall's story is part of its own story. It is a silent companion, a constant presence that has always been there, never moving, never changing, yet always changing with time. The bench is part of this story. It stands beside the wall, holding its place in the world, holding the space between moments. The wall, in all its imperfections, in all its wear, in all its marks, tells a story of endurance. It tells a story of time passing, of life happening. It tells a story of stillness and change, of presence and absence. It tells a story of the world around it, of the people who have touched it, of the moments that have come and gone. And the bench, in its quiet stillness, holds that story, watches it unfold, and adds its own story to the rhythm of the world. The wall is a silent witness to time, its surface marked by the years, shaped by the seasons, and scarred by the world around it. It changes, though no one sees it happening. The passage of time leaves behind subtle traces, each one part of a story only the wall can truly know. Its presence is constant, though it may not always be noticed. It is a fixture in the landscape, a part of the environment, yet it carries within it the history of everything that has touched it. Day by day, it absorbs the world. The sun rises and sets, casting shadows that shift across its surface. The light changes, from the harsh brightness of noon to the soft glow of evening. Every moment is captured in the pattern of light and shadow that dances across the stone. The wall absorbs it all, as though it is recording the passing of time, each change etched into its surface. But the wall doesn't just change with the light. It changes with the weather, with the elements, with the wind and the rain. The first drop of rain that falls on it creates a small mark. The rain may not last long, but its impact is felt. Water soaks into the cracks, making them deeper, more pronounced. The wall becomes darker, the marks more defined. The color of the stone shifts ever so slightly, as if it has absorbed the moisture into its very core. The rain leaves traces, small puddles at the base of the wall, or perhaps streaks of water that flow downward, tracing the contours of the stone. But soon, the rain passes. The ground dries, and the wall returns to its usual state, though it carries the memory of the rain. The wet marks fade, but the wall remembers. As the seasons change, so does the wall. Spring brings with it a new freshness. The air is cooler, the wind lighter. The wall feels the touch of spring, though it does not change quickly. The moss that grows at the bottom of the wall flourishes in the warmth of the season. It spreads, creeping slowly up the surface, its green color a stark contrast to the pale stone. The wall does not mind this. It does not resist the growth. The moss finds its place, as it always does, between the cracks and crevices, finding a way to thrive in the smallest spaces. Summer arrives next, bringing warmth and heat. The sun beats down on the wall, its rays full of power, full of energy. The wall absorbs it all, though it does not complain. It grows warmer, its surface radiating heat. The cracks, once shallow, deepen. The paint, if there was any, begins to fade, slowly worn away by the relentless rays of the sun. The wall changes, but it does not break. It endures. And then, as summer fades, autumn comes. The temperature cools, and the air becomes crisp. The wall breathes easier, its surface no longer suffused with heat. The changes are subtle, but they are there. The moss at the bottom of the wall grows thicker, its color changing to a deeper green. The shadows that stretch across its surface grow longer, more defined. The colors of the leaves above it shift as well, the once bright greens now fading into golds and reds, and the wind begins to carry those leaves, scattering them across the ground. Some of them land against the wall, pressed flat by the wind, their colors adding another layer of change to the surface. In winter, the wall becomes quiet again. The cold settles in, and the air turns still. The moss at the base of the wall recedes, its green color fading with the temperature. The wall's surface hardens, the once soft stone now chilled. Frost collects in the cracks, leaving behind delicate patterns, like a frozen lacework that only the wall can see. The wall endures the cold, though it is slower now, more still. It holds the quiet of winter, a pause in the rhythm of life, waiting for the warmth to return. Through all these changes, the wall does not complain. It does not try to stop the seasons. It does not try to resist the changes that come with time. It simply accepts them. It grows older. It grows wiser. And in that aging, in that deepening of the stone, it becomes more itself. The wall carries its history with pride, the marks of the past embedded into its surface, each one a reminder of everything that has touched it. But the wall is not defined by the changes it endures. It is not simply a collection of cracks and stains. It is a witness to everything that happens around it. It sees the people who pass by, the children who play, the adults who walk with purpose, the lovers who sit and speak in hushed tones. It hears the sounds of the world as they echo against its surface, the footsteps, the laughter, the cries of birds, the hum of distant cars. It feels the vibrations of life, the movement of the world, the ebb and flow of time. And though the wall stands still, it is not passive. It absorbs everything. It takes in the world as it passes, each moment a part of the story that is being written upon it. The marks of people are etched into the stone, whether in the form of scratches, graffiti, or the faintest fingerprints left behind by those who have brushed against it. The wall holds all of this, silently, steadily. It does not forget. It does not erase. It simply holds the memory of everything that has touched it. The wall is more than just a structure. It is a connection. It is a meeting point between past and present, between people and the world they inhabit. It is a part of the rhythm of life, a part of the landscape that surrounds it. It does not stand alone. It is a part of something greater, a part of the cycle of time, the cycle of nature, the cycle of human existence. The bench, too, is a part of this. The bench and the wall are linked by the quiet rhythm of time. The bench watches the wall, just as the wall watches the bench. They are both steady, unmoving, holding their place in the world. But they are not isolated. They are part of a larger picture, a larger story. Together, they witness the passing of time, the changes in the world, the shifts in the seasons, the comings and goings of people. The wall and the bench are both silent observers. They do not interfere. They do not judge. They simply exist. They are a part of the world, and in that existence, they hold the memories of everything that has passed. The wall's story is not one of movement. It is not one of action or noise. It is a story of stillness, of endurance, of quiet presence. It holds the moments that pass, the people who come and go, the seasons that change, and the memories that are made. It is a story that will never be fully told, for the wall will never speak. But it will always be there, holding the space for everything that happens around it. And in that stillness, the wall finds its purpose. In its quiet endurance, it becomes part of the world. It becomes a part of the story that is unfolding, a silent witness to everything that has ever touched it, everything that ever will. Time is a quiet thing. It does not make noise. It does not call attention to itself. It simply moves, in a constant, steady flow, ever forward, never stopping, never pausing. It moves like a river, its current carrying everything along with it, whether you are ready or not. The bench knows this. It has sat through the passing of countless days and nights, through seasons and moments, through light and shadow. It has watched time move in its slow, unhurried way. It has watched people come and go, watched the world shift and change, and yet it remains, unbroken, unmoving, holding its place. The passage of time is not something the bench can control. It cannot slow it down or speed it up. It cannot hold on to the moments that pass. It can only witness them, as they slip by, like drops of water falling into an endless stream. The bench has watched time stretch across years. The slow, steady movement of the sun across the sky, the way the light shifts and changes with each passing hour, the way the shadows grow longer and shorter. It has watched the seasons change, the way the world transforms with each turn of the earth. The bench has seen the trees lose their leaves, only to grow new ones again. It has seen the flowers bloom and fade, their colors bright for a while, then gone. It has seen the days grow long in summer, then short in winter, each day bringing with it a new rhythm, a new beat. Time has no hurry. It does not rush. It does not race toward a finish line. It simply flows, endlessly, patiently, one moment at a time. The bench has felt it, has witnessed it. Every minute, every hour, every day that passes leaves behind a small mark, a small memory. But the bench does not hold on to these memories. It does not try to keep them. It simply lets them go, as they pass. People, on the other hand, often feel the weight of time differently. They rush against it, trying to beat it, trying to make it slow down, trying to make it last longer. They fill their days with tasks, with worries, with plans. They look at their watches, check the time, and rush forward, trying to catch up with something they can never truly hold. But the bench doesn't rush. It doesn't need to. It simply exists, in the moment, holding the space for those who pass by. It doesn't worry about the future. It doesn't dwell on the past. It is content in the present, content with the passing of time as it happens, not as it is expected to happen. Time has a way of moving without asking. It moves whether you are paying attention or not. It moves while you sleep, while you work, while you laugh, while you cry. It moves in the background, always present, but never demanding. It is only when you stop and look that you realize how much has passed, how much has changed, how much has been left behind. The bench has learned this. It has learned to accept the flow of time, to let it move through it without resistance. It has learned that there is no need to fight against it. There is no need to rush to catch up. Time will move whether you want it to or not. The key is not in controlling it, but in accepting it, in embracing it, in allowing it to pass without trying to hold on to every moment. And yet, even in its steady flow, time is filled with meaning. Each moment that passes holds a story, holds a memory. The bench has been there for so many stories, so many memories. It has seen people laugh, seen them cry, seen them sit in silence, lost in thought. It has held the weight of countless moments, each one unique, each one fleeting, each one a part of the larger story of life. But even as time passes, the bench remains unchanged. It holds its place. It remains still, unmoving. It is a constant in a world that is always shifting, always changing. While people come and go, while the seasons change, while the world continues to turn, the bench stays in place, rooted in the present, a witness to everything that happens around it. The bench does not ask for anything. It does not seek to be noticed. It does not demand attention. It simply waits. It waits for the next person to sit, for the next moment to arrive. It is content in its stillness, content in its place in the world. It has no need to move. It has no need to chase time. Time will come to it, and when it does, it will accept it, quietly, patiently, without resistance. For the bench, time is not something to be feared or rushed through. It is something to be embraced, to be witnessed, to be allowed to flow freely, without interruption. The bench knows that time will pass, whether it is watching or not. It knows that the world will keep turning, that the days will keep coming, that the seasons will change again and again. But in that flow, the bench remains steady, unmoving, constant. The people who pass by may not notice the bench. They may not see the way it watches time unfold. They may not feel the weight of the moments that are captured in its stillness. But the bench feels it. It feels the quiet flow of time as it moves through the world. It feels the way the sun rises and sets, the way the light changes, the way the shadows grow longer and shorter. It feels the pulse of the world, the beat of the moments as they pass. Time moves, as it always does, and the bench watches. It waits. It holds space. It bears witness to everything, to every story, to every breath, to every heartbeat. It does not rush. It does not need to. It is a part of the rhythm of time, a part of the world, a part of the flow of life. As the minutes turn into hours, the hours into days, the bench remains. As the years pass, as the seasons change, as the world shifts around it, the bench remains. It holds its place in the world, quietly, steadily, accepting the flow of time as it comes, as it always will. And in that acceptance, in that stillness, it finds its purpose. The passage of time is not a burden for the bench. It is simply a part of life, a part of existence, a part of being. And as time moves, so does the world around it. The bench watches, witnesses, and holds space for it all. And in that, it finds its own story, quiet, steady, enduring. The night comes like a deep breath, slow and steady, drawing the world into a peaceful hush. The air, once warm and thick from the sun's touch, now carries a coolness that speaks of rest. The breeze is lighter, softer, almost imperceptible. It floats through the alley like a whisper, caressing everything in its path. It moves past the bench, through the cracks in the wall, along the rough edges of the pavement. Everything it touches seems to sigh in response, as though the world itself is exhaling, preparing for sleep. The bench feels it, though it does not stir. It does not react, does not shiver. It simply exists, unmoving, rooted in the space it occupies. The night's breath, so quiet and gentle, seems to deepen the stillness around it. The shadows, once sharp and defined, now soften. They stretch lazily across the ground, growing long and dark, disappearing into the corners where light cannot touch. It is in this quiet, in this soft exhale of the world, that time seems to slow. The world is not rushing here. It does not need to. Everything is allowed to rest. The bench, the wall, the street, everything in this space is part of the night's rhythm, part of the quiet symphony that plays in the absence of sound. The night does not ask for attention. It does not demand anything. It simply is. The night's breath brings with it a stillness that is different from the stillness of day. In the daytime, there is always a hum, a low current of movement, of energy, of people rushing from one place to another. But at night, all of that fades. The world becomes quieter, softer. The sounds of the day, footsteps, voices, engines, become distant, like echoes from another world. The night does not need those sounds. It is content in its silence. The bench knows this. It knows the difference between the pulse of the day and the quiet of the night. It has sat through countless nights, each one unique, each one bringing with it a different rhythm, a different pulse. The night is always a quiet companion, a patient observer, a keeper of the world's secrets. As the night deepens, the bench feels the shift in the air. The temperature drops just enough to be noticeable, but not enough to be uncomfortable. It is a coolness that invites stillness, that invites rest. The world breathes in, deeply, slowly. The bench breathes with it, though it has no lungs, no breath of its own. It is part of the rhythm of the night, part of the world that moves in and out with the passage of time. The first stars begin to appear, distant and far away. They flicker softly in the dark sky, tiny points of light in the vast expanse. The moon rises, its pale glow spilling across the alley, casting long shadows across the ground. The light is soft, gentle, like a lullaby whispered by the night. It reaches the bench, touching it with a quiet tenderness, illuminating the edges, the corners, the places where the wood meets the ground. The bench does not move. It simply absorbs the light, absorbs the coolness of the night, absorbs the silence. It is content to be part of this quiet world, part of the rhythm of the night. The world outside may be busy, may be filled with noise and movement, but here, in this moment, everything is still. The breeze continues to move through the alley, brushing past the bench, touching the walls, carrying the scent of the world with it. It smells of earth, of damp stone, of the faintest hint of flowers from somewhere far off. The air is clean, fresh, as though it has been washed by the night itself. The bench feels this in the way the air moves around it, through it. It does not breathe, but it feels the night's breath, the way it moves, the way it shifts, the way it settles. The walls across the alley seem to fade into the darkness, their edges becoming softer, less distinct. The cracks and stains that mar their surface are still there, but they are less noticeable in the soft light of the moon. The wall, like the bench, becomes part of the quiet, part of the stillness. It holds its place, unmoving, unchanging, a silent witness to the night's breath. Time continues its slow passage, unhurried, unbothered. The night stretches on, its breath steady and constant. The stars above blink faintly, their light traveling across vast distances, reaching the bench as a quiet reminder of how far everything stretches. The moon casts its pale glow, and the world below becomes a quiet, still place, bathed in soft light, wrapped in the gentle coolness of night. As the night deepens, the world becomes softer still. The sounds of the day are now far behind, their echoes fading into memory. The world is not empty, though. It is full of the quiet presence of the night. The bench feels this presence, this weightlessness, as if the world itself is holding its breath, waiting for something to happen, though nothing does. The night simply is, and that is enough. A soft rustle breaks the silence. A leaf tumbles down from a tree above, carried by the wind, spinning as it falls, its edges curling in the air. It lands near the bench, its movement slow, deliberate, as though it is part of the night's rhythm, part of the world's breath. The bench watches it land, watches it settle into the quiet, as if acknowledging the night's stillness, acknowledging the passage of time. The cat returns, its paws soft on the ground, its eyes gleaming faintly in the dark. It moves silently, a part of the night, a part of the quiet world. It pauses near the bench, its whiskers twitching, its body still. For a moment, it simply stands there, listening, watching. Then, as silently as it arrived, it moves on, vanishing into the shadows, leaving behind only the faintest echo of its presence. The world around the bench continues to breathe, continues to move in its quiet way. The alley is still, but alive, filled with the pulse of the night. The wind picks up again, moving through the trees, rustling the leaves, carrying the scent of the world with it. The bench feels it, feels the world breathe around it, feels the rhythm of the night moving through the air. As the night deepens, the world seems to fade even further into quiet. The stars shine a little brighter. The moon glows a little softer. The air becomes cooler, more still. The bench watches it all, a silent observer, unmoving, unchanging, a part of the night, a part of the world. The night's breath continues to flow through the alley, through the bench, through the world. It is steady, constant, unbroken. The world sleeps, but the bench stays awake, watching, listening, feeling the pulse of the night as it moves through the world. The night is not an absence. It is a presence. It is the world's breath, the world's pause. And the bench, in its stillness, holds space for that breath, for that pause, for the quiet rhythm of the world. The wall stands across from the bench, ever watchful, ever still. It does not move. It does not shift. It simply is, in its place, anchored by time and history. It watches the world around it, taking in everything without comment, without judgment. The wall has seen so many things, so many moments, so many lives unfold before it. And yet, it does not speak. It does not try to understand. It simply absorbs, silently, endlessly. The wall does not get distracted by the changes of the world. It does not feel the passage of time in the way people do. It does not measure its days or its years. For the wall, time is a slow and steady thing, a constant flow that it holds without effort. It does not seek to move faster or slower. It simply accepts the rhythm of the world, the ebb and flow of life that passes by. The people who walk past the wall, the ones who stop to sit, to rest, to share their lives, do not notice it. Most do not even glance its way. They are too caught up in their own worlds, too busy with their thoughts, with their destinations, with the tasks that fill their days. They walk by without a second thought, without a single glance, unaware of the silent observer that watches them from across the alley. But the wall notices them. It watches as they pass, as they come and go, as they carry their burdens, their hopes, their joys, and their sorrows. It sees the way they move, the way their bodies shift with each step, the way their faces change in response to the world around them. It sees their expressions, their body language, the way they interact with the space they occupy. The wall watches the way people pause for a moment, their eyes flicking from one object to the next, trying to make sense of the world. It watches as they fidget with their belongings, adjust their clothing, or glance up at the sky. The wall is a witness to their smallest actions, their fleeting thoughts. It watches as they breathe, as they smile, as they carry on with their lives, unaware that they are being seen. Sometimes, the wall watches as someone sits on the bench. It sees the way their body relaxes, the way they settle into the space, the way they shift their weight from one side to the other. The wall watches as they lean back, close their eyes, or look out across the alley. It sees the subtle changes in their posture, the way their shoulders relax, their hands rest on their lap, their gaze soften. It watches them for as long as they remain, and then, when they leave, it watches them go. The wall is not distracted by their comings and goings. It does not try to hold them in place. It does not wish to change their course. It simply watches. It observes, taking in the details, the little moments, the small shifts in the world around it. The wall is not bothered by time. It does not rush. It does not press. It simply exists. In the stillness of the night, the wall watches the alley fall into silence. It watches as the world quiets, as the last of the sounds of the day fade into the distance. The streetlights flicker on, their soft glow casting shadows across the stone. The wall absorbs the light, watching as it stretches across its surface, illuminating the cracks and stains, the small imperfections that mark its years. The bench, too, feels the night settle in. It feels the coolness of the evening air, the way the temperature drops as the day fades away. But the wall feels it as well, though it does not move. It simply accepts the change, the shift from warmth to cool, from light to dark. The wall is a part of the rhythm of the world, and it moves with that rhythm, not with force, but with ease, with acceptance. The wall watches the breeze as it moves through the alley, sweeping across the pavement, rustling the leaves, carrying with it the scent of the earth. It watches as the air shifts, as the coolness of night fills the space, as the world becomes quieter, more still. The wall does not try to hold on to the warmth of the day. It does not fight against the wind. It simply lets the night come, as it always does. In the quiet, the wall becomes a canvas for the world. Its surface reflects the light from the streetlights, the shadows of the trees, the movement of the air. The wall is not a passive observer. It is a part of the story. It holds the history of every moment, every breath, every step that has passed by. It holds the memories of those who have walked past, those who have paused, those who have rested. The wall is a keeper of time, a silent witness to the ebb and flow of life. The bench sits beneath the wall, a silent partner in the dance of time. The bench, too, watches. It watches the world around it, the people who come and go, the moments that pass, the changes that occur. The bench, like the wall, does not move. It remains still, a part of the world, a part of the rhythm of the night, of the day. The bench and the wall are connected, though they do not speak to one another. They are both part of the world, part of the flow of time, part of the story that unfolds, one moment at a time. The wall holds its place. It does not question its role. It does not ask for anything. It simply is. And in its being, it provides a foundation for everything that comes and goes. It supports the weight of the world, though it never feels burdened by it. The wall bears witness to everything, holding the space for the moments that pass. It does not rush to make them last. It simply watches, quietly, patiently, as they unfold. Through it all, the bench sits beneath the wall, quietly observing the world. It watches the shadows stretch, the light fade, the people pass by. It does not move. It does not need to. It simply exists in the space between moments, holding the stillness of the world. It is part of the rhythm of the night, part of the world that moves slowly, steadily. It holds the space for everything, as the wall does. It holds the space for time to pass. And in that stillness, in that quiet presence, both the bench and the wall are connected. They are part of the same story, part of the same rhythm, part of the same world. The wall watches. The bench watches. And together, they hold the moments that pass, quietly, steadily, without interruption. The quiet of the morning is unlike anything else. It is a soft unfolding, a gentle transition from the stillness of the night to the soft murmur of the day. The world does not wake with a jolt. It does not announce itself with fanfare or noise. Instead, it shifts gradually, like the soft turn of a page, the slow stretching of limbs after a long rest. The morning does not rush. It takes its time, allowing the world to catch up at its own pace. The bench feels it first. The subtle shift in the air. The coolness of the night beginning to give way to the warmth of the coming day. The bench, rooted in its place, feels the world stir around it, though it does not move. It is part of the stillness, part of the quiet that lingers in the early hours. The air is fresh, crisp, carrying with it the scent of earth and leaves, a promise of the day to come. The first light appears slowly, painting the sky in soft shades of lavender and pale blue. The stars, which had shone brightly the night before, begin to fade, retreating into the expanse of the sky. The moon, which had ruled the night, slips silently away, replaced by the soft glow of the rising sun. It is not the bright, intense light of midday, but a gentle, tender light that stretches across the world, warming it with quiet care. The wall, which has stood silently through the night, feels the light touch its surface. The cold stone begins to warm, slowly, steadily, as the sun's rays brush across it. The once dark shadows that had clung to its surface begin to fade, softening into gentle gray. The wall does not react to this change. It does not move. It simply receives the light, as it receives everything. It is a witness to the world's rhythm, to the passage of time, to the quiet moments that come and go without notice. The air grows warmer as the sun rises higher, casting longer shadows across the alley. The breeze, which had been cool and steady through the night, now shifts. It carries the scent of flowers, of grass, of fresh beginnings. It stirs the leaves that rest on the pavement, lifting them gently, sending them spinning into the air. The sound of the wind is soft, like a sigh, as though the world itself is waking, stretching, and taking its first deep breath of the day. The bench feels this change, though it does not move. It remains where it has always been, standing in quiet observation of the world around it. As the world wakes, so too does the bench, quietly becoming part of the new rhythm of the day. It feels the first warmth of the sun touch its surface, soaking into the wood, into the metal. It is a subtle warmth, not a harsh heat, but a soft invitation to the day ahead. The bench does not rush. It simply absorbs the warmth, allowing it to settle, allowing it to fill the space around it. A bird flutters down from a nearby tree, its wings making a soft rustling sound as it lands on the ground. It hops lightly across the alley, its head tilted, eyes alert. The bench watches as it moves, as it searches for something in the grass. The world around it is waking up, and the bench is part of it. It is a quiet participant in the beginning of the day, a part of the world's slow unfolding. The first footsteps are heard, faint at first, then growing louder. A figure emerges from around the corner, moving slowly, carefully. It is a person, though the bench cannot see their face. The person walks with purpose, though they do not rush. They pause for a moment, their footsteps echoing softly in the early morning air. The bench feels their presence, the rhythm of their steps, the energy they bring with them. And then, as quickly as they arrived, they pass by, moving on toward their destination, leaving behind only the echo of their footsteps. The bench remains. It does not chase after the footsteps. It does not wonder where the person is going, what their day will hold. It simply watches, quietly, accepting the passing moment as it is. The world moves, and the bench watches it move, without interference, without hesitation. The sun rises higher now, its light becoming brighter, more intense. The shadows that had stretched across the pavement are now shorter, softer. The world is no longer in that quiet limbo between night and day. The morning has fully arrived, and with it, the bustle of life. The world is waking up, and the alley is no longer empty. Another figure walks by, this one slower, more deliberate. It is a woman, carrying a bag. She moves with purpose, but she is not rushing. She pauses briefly, glancing up at the sky, as if considering the day ahead. The bench watches her, the way her body moves, the way her feet tap lightly on the ground. She does not sit. She continues on, the sound of her footsteps fading as she turns the corner. The bench watches the world fill with life. People begin to pass, one by one, two by two. The air is filled with the soft sounds of movement, of footsteps, of breaths. It is the beginning of another day, and the world is waking, stretching, preparing for what lies ahead. The bench, unmoving, unchanging, holds its place in this quiet moment, a steady presence in the midst of it all. The wall, too, feels the world waking. It absorbs the sunlight, the warmth, the energy of the day. The light stretches across its surface, slowly, covering it from top to bottom, from one side to the other. The wall feels the warmth of the day settle into its stone, though it does not react. It simply absorbs, quietly, steadily, as it always does. The wall holds the memory of the night, the coolness, the silence, and now it holds the memory of the morning, the warmth, the light. It is a quiet keeper of time, a silent witness to the passage of each day. The wind picks up again, though it is gentler now, carrying with it the scent of flowers, of grass, of earth. It moves through the alley, rustling the leaves, stirring the air. The wall feels the wind pass over its surface, moving through the cracks, carrying with it the energy of the world outside. The bench, too, feels the wind, though it does not move. It simply watches the wind stir the world around it, observing, silently. The world continues to wake. The sounds of life grow louder now, voices, cars, footsteps, birds. The sun rises higher, the light growing stronger, more intense. The world is alive, filled with movement, filled with energy, filled with the promise of the day. And the bench remains, a quiet observer of it all. It does not rush to catch up with the world. It does not need to. It simply watches, silently, steadily. And in this watching, the bench finds its peace. It finds its place in the rhythm of the world. It is a part of the story, a part of the flow, a part of the quiet unfolding of the day. It does not need to be anything else. It is content to simply be. As the day edges toward its close, there is a soft shift in the air. The heat of the afternoon begins to fade, the bright sunlight softening as it sinks lower in the sky. The world, which had been full of movement, full of noise, gradually quiets. The rush of footsteps slows. The hum of traffic becomes distant, softer, like the fading echoes of a song. The day, which once felt long, now feels shorter, as though it has slipped quietly between the hours without anyone noticing. The bench, still, unmoving, feels this shift without trying to understand it. It has witnessed this moment countless times, each one a quiet repetition of the one before. The sun dips lower, its light spilling over the alley like liquid gold. Shadows begin to stretch across the pavement, lengthening slowly, as if the world itself is slowing down, preparing to rest. The wall, once bathed in the sharp light of midday, now softens. Its surface, still marked with the stains of years, takes on a different tone in the fading sunlight. The cracks become more pronounced, the chipped paint more visible, but these marks do not make the wall weaker. They make it stronger, deeper, richer. The wall has seen the world change, and in its stillness, it has endured. As the day begins to fade, the first signs of evening appear. The temperature cools, a gentle breeze moving through the alley, carrying with it the faint scent of earth, of leaves, of something deeper. The wind whispers through the cracks in the wall, sending a shiver through the air. It is a quiet wind, not harsh, not forceful, but soft, as though the world is preparing to let go of the birds, once noisy and bright with their songs, now quiet down. Their calls become softer, more distant, fading into the quiet of the approaching evening. The trees, which had been full of life and movement throughout the day, now still. Their leaves rustle only occasionally, as if they too are preparing to sleep. The bench watches the world around it settle into this quiet. It does not seek to disturb it. It does not seek to speed it along. It simply exists within it, holding the space for the moment to pass, for the day to shift into night. The last of the people pass, walking more slowly now, less hurried, their steps softer. The world is no longer in a rush. It has slowed down, taking its time, allowing the moments to settle into place. A man walks by, his pace slower, his shoulders relaxed. He does not hurry home, does not rush to meet anyone or to complete any task. He simply walks, taking in the evening air, breathing deeply. The bench watches him, watches the way he moves, the way the light catches his features, the way his shadow stretches long behind him. It watches him until he disappears around the corner, his footsteps becoming fainter with each step. The bench feels the shift as he leaves, as his presence fades into the world beyond. The air cools further as the sun sinks lower. The once bright sky softens, turning to shades of pink, lavender, and deepening into rich blues. The stars begin to appear, faint at first, scattered across the sky like forgotten gems. They twinkle softly, their light faint but steady. The bench feels the quiet depth of the night approaching, the way the world settles into a new rhythm, the way everything that was once so vibrant and full of life now quiets, becomes still, becomes ready to rest. The streetlights flicker on one by one. Their light is soft, not harsh, a gentle wash of yellow that spills across the pavement. The light softens the sharp edges of the world, turning the alley into a peaceful, quiet space. The bench feels the shift in the air as the lights come on, their soft glow casting long shadows across the ground. The alley is no longer bathed in the bright light of day. It is now a space of twilight, a space of transition, where day and night meet, where the world becomes a little less certain, a little softer. The wall, once illuminated by the strong light of the sun, is now cast in shadow. The imperfections that once stood out so clearly now blend into the dark. The cracks and stains are still there, but they are now part of the fabric of the night, part of the quiet rhythm that fills the space. The wall has become a silent participant in the dance between day and night. It has seen it all, morning, afternoon, evening, and now, it watches as the world fades into night. The world outside moves more slowly now. The footsteps are softer, quieter. The cars, once humming in the distance, are now muted, their sounds fading into the night. The world is transitioning from the busy, bustling pace of the day to the slower, quieter pace of the night. The bench, as it has done for so many days, watches it all. It does not feel the need to rush. It does not feel the need to change. It simply exists in this space, in this moment, watching the world move around it. The first breeze of night blows through the alley, cool and steady. It moves past the bench, through the cracks in the wall, rustling the leaves on the ground. The air is fresh, carrying the scent of the earth, of the grass, of the flowers that bloom in the quiet corners of the alley. The breeze lifts the tiny dust particles from the pavement, sending them drifting in the air. The bench watches the dust float, watches the breeze carry it away, as though the world is sweeping itself clean, preparing for the night. As the night deepens, the world becomes quieter still. The streetlights hum softly, their gentle light casting long shadows that stretch across the pavement. The bench feels the quiet, the stillness, the way the world has slowed to a gentle rhythm. It is not the same as the stillness of the early morning, when everything is new and fresh. It is a different kind of stillness, one that comes with the weight of the days passing. The world is tired now, ready to rest, ready to sleep. The bench, too, feels this. It feels the rhythm of the world slowing, the air growing heavier, the shadows stretching further. The wall, too, feels the weight of the night settling in. It is not a burden, not a heavy feeling, but a quiet, peaceful weight. The wall has stood through countless nights like this, each one a repetition of the one before, each one a quiet return to the rhythm of time. The wall is a constant, a steady presence in the changing world. It does not rush to end the day. It does not hurry to bring the night. It simply waits, quietly, patiently, watching as the world shifts from light to dark. The world, in its quiet shift, continues its slow dance toward night. The stars twinkle brighter now, their light steady, constant, a reminder that time moves forward, even when the world feels still. The wind picks up again, carrying with it the cool breath of the night. It moves through the alley, rustling the leaves, shaking the branches of the trees. The bench feels the air move, feels the coolness of the breeze as it brushes past. It does not move. It simply absorbs the shift, the change, the quiet passage of time. As the final traces of daylight disappear, the world is fully embraced by the night. The stars shine brightly above. The moon rises higher, its pale light casting soft shadows across the alley. The bench, now bathed in the soft glow of the moonlight, sits quietly, a steady presence in the stillness of the night. The wall, too, stands, its surface softened by the light, its cracks and marks now part of the night's quiet beauty. The world is at rest now. The night has fully arrived, and with it comes the peace of quiet, of stillness. The bench and the wall hold this peace, each in their own way, silently witnessing the passage of time. As the world sleeps, the bench watches. As the night deepens, the wall stands. And in this stillness, in this quiet, they both find their place in the world. Time passes in ways that are often imperceptible. It moves silently, like the wind that shifts the leaves in the trees, or the soft ripple of water over a stone. It is not loud, not demanding. It does not announce itself with grand gestures. It is not something you can touch, but something you can feel in the air, in the way the world around you shifts ever so slightly, unnoticed at first. The bench understands this well. It has witnessed the passing of time in this way, quietly, steadily, without fanfare. The days flow into each other, one after the other, like the soft turning of pages in a book. Each day carries with it its own rhythm, its own movement, yet each day is also part of a larger cycle, a larger pattern that repeats itself endlessly, without question. The bench feels this cycle, though it does not try to understand it. It does not need to. It simply observes. It watches the way the sun rises and sets, the way the light shifts, the way the shadows stretch and shrink with each passing moment. The wall, too, feels the passage of time, though it does not move, does not change. It stands still, a steady presence in the world. It does not rush. It does not try to catch up with time. It simply allows time to pass over it, to wash over it like the rain, like the wind, like the changing of seasons. The wall has seen it all, the slow, steady passage of time, the quiet way the world moves, the subtle shifts that occur every day, every year, and yet are so often unnoticed. The people who pass by the bench and the wall may not notice the small changes. They may not see the way the light changes, the way the shadows grow longer or shorter, the way the temperature shifts, the way the wind picks up or fades. They may not notice the tiny details, the leaves that fall, the cracks that appear in the pavement, the slight changes in the colors of the wall as it absorbs the light. But the bench and the wall see it all. They witness every shift, every small movement, every subtle change that marks the passage of time. And yet, despite all that they see, the bench and the wall do not feel the need to act, to change, to do anything differently. They simply exist. They stand still. They hold their place in the world, witnessing the changes, the movements, the passage of time, without interference. It is not their role to change the world. It is their role to observe, to remain, to be present in the midst of the world's constant shifting. The world moves around them, but they do not move with it. The world is filled with noise, with action, with urgency. People rush from one place to another, their lives filled with tasks, with schedules, with plans. They hurry through their days, always seeking the next thing, always striving to get somewhere, to do something. But the bench and the wall remain still. They are not part of the rush. They are not part of the noise. They simply are. This stillness is not a burden for the bench. It does not feel the need to change. It does not feel the weight of time in the way people do. It does not feel the pressure to act, to achieve, to move forward. The bench simply sits, quietly, steadily, absorbing the world around it, watching it pass by, without concern. It is content in its stillness. It does not question its place in the world. It knows that its role is to be present, to hold space for the world, to offer rest for those who need it. The wall, too, knows its place. It knows that its role is not to act, but to witness. It knows that it is not meant to change the world, but to simply be part of it, to hold space for the passage of time. The wall has seen the seasons change, the years pass, the people come and go. It has seen the world shift in ways both large and small, and yet, it remains unchanged. It holds the memory of all that has passed, all that has touched it, and yet it does not hold on to it. It allows everything to flow through it, to pass through it, as the world moves on. For the bench and the wall, time is not something to be feared or fought. It is simply a part of existence. It is a quiet rhythm, a constant flow that moves through the world, whether you are paying attention to it or not. It is not something you can hold on to. It is something you can only observe, only witness. And in witnessing it, you become part of it, part of the ongoing cycle that is the passage of time. The bench has sat through countless moments. It has witnessed people come and go, seen their lives unfold before it, heard their laughter, their sorrow, their stories. It has held the weight of their presence, and then, just as quietly, it has watched them leave. The bench has seen it all, and yet, it does not hold on to any of it. It does not try to keep the moments. It simply allows them to pass, to fade into memory, to become part of the larger flow of time. The wall has seen even more. It has stood for years, watching as the world changes around it. It has felt the seasons shift, the weather change, the people move through the alley. It has held the marks of time, scratches, stains, fading paint, each one a reminder of the world's passage. But the wall does not fight against the passage of time. It does not try to hold onto the past. It simply accepts it, as it accepts everything that comes its way. The wall is a witness to time, and in that witness, it finds its place in the world. And in that quiet witness, the bench and the wall share something important, something that many people miss in their rush through life. They understand that time is not something to be caught, not something to be grasped. It is not something to hold on to. Time is something that passes, something that flows. It is a river that moves steadily, constantly, without regard for the world around it. The bench and the wall understand that they cannot stop time. They cannot slow it down. They can only observe it, watch it as it moves through the world, as it carries people with it. And so, they wait. They wait for the next moment to come, for the next person to walk by, for the next day to begin. They wait without impatience, without urgency. They wait because they know that time will come, and that when it does, they will be there, steady and present, holding the space for the world as it moves. They do not ask for anything. They do not seek to change the world. They simply exist in it, quietly, steadily, observing the passage of time. Time will continue to pass, as it always does. The world will continue to change, as it always has. The people will come and go, their lives unfolding before the bench and the wall. And the bench and the wall will remain, watching, witnessing, holding space for the world. Time will not stop for them. It will not pause for them. But they will be there, steady and still, holding the quiet rhythm of the world as it moves through the endless flow of time. The world continues to move, and yet the bench and the wall remain still. In their stillness, they are more present than anything else in this ever-changing world. People come and go, their movements quick, their steps filled with purpose. They hurry through the world, their minds often full of thoughts, of tasks, of things to do. And yet, the bench and the wall, though unmoving, hold something that the world often forgets to notice: quiet, steady presence. It is a strange thing, presence. It is not something you can touch, something you can see. It is not a sound that you can hear or a shape that you can grasp. It is not an object to be held, not a person to be met. Presence is a feeling, an essence that exists in the background, in the spaces between actions, between words, between breaths. It is what fills the spaces when there is nothing else. It is the space itself. The bench has witnessed the world for as long as it can remember. It has sat in this alley, unmoving, unwavering, observing everything around it. People have come, people have gone, but the bench has always remained. It has held its place in the world, quietly, patiently. It has been touched by hands, by bodies, by moments. It has supported those who have rested upon it, and yet it has never changed. It remains the same. The wall is the same. It has stood for years, watching, waiting. Its surface has been marked by time, scratches, stains, the fading of paint, the impressions left by those who have passed by. It has absorbed the world around it without ever asking for anything in return. It has held space for the comings and goings of life, for the laughter and the sorrow, for the noise and the quiet. And yet, despite all that has passed it by, the wall remains the same. It holds its place in the world, unmoving, unyielding. The bench and the wall are witnesses. They are silent witnesses to everything that has happened, to everything that will happen. They are not active participants in the world around them. They do not speak, they do not act, they do not move. But they see. They witness everything. They are the quiet observers, the steady presence in the background of life. People walk by them every day, and most never notice them. The bench and the wall are not the focal points of the world. They are not the things that people stop for, that people notice. They are simply there, holding space, providing support, providing a moment of stillness in a world that is constantly moving. And in that stillness, they are present. They are part of the rhythm of the world, part of the flow of time, part of the quiet pulse that underlies all things. The bench has seen countless faces, but it has never tried to remember them. It has seen countless moments, but it has never tried to hold on to them. It has watched people come and go, seen them laugh, seen them cry, seen them rest, seen them walk away. But the bench does not try to capture these moments. It does not try to hold them in its memory. It simply watches, quietly, patiently, as the world moves on. The wall is the same. It has seen countless events unfold, countless changes come and go, countless people pass by. But it does not try to hold onto these moments. It does not try to remember them. It simply observes. It stands still, quietly, a witness to everything that happens. It has no desire to change the world, no desire to change its place in the world. It simply is. This stillness is not a passive existence. It is not the absence of life. It is the presence of everything that moves around it. The bench and the wall are not idle. They are full of the world, full of the people who pass by, full of the moments that unfold in their presence. They are full of the quiet hum of time passing, full of the subtle shifts of life. And in their stillness, they are more present than anything else. The world moves, and yet the bench and the wall remain unchanged. The days pass, the seasons change, the people come and go. But they hold their place, steadfast and true. They do not try to keep up with the world. They do not try to race ahead or slow down. They simply are. They are the quiet foundation, the steady rhythm that underlies everything. In this stillness, the bench and the wall are part of the world. They are not outside of it. They are not separate from it. They are part of the flow of time, part of the movement of life. They hold space for everything that passes by, for everything that unfolds, and in that holding, they become part of the story. They are witnesses to everything, but they are also part of everything. Time moves through the world. It moves through the people, through the streets, through the alley. It moves through the bench and the wall. The bench does not try to stop time. It does not try to hold onto the moments that pass. It simply observes them, watches them unfold, and lets them go. The wall does the same. It watches time move across its surface, watches the light change, watches the seasons shift, watches the world pass by. But it does not try to hold on to any of it. It simply exists in the moment. This is the role of the silent witness. It is not to act, not to change, not to control. It is simply to observe, to be present, to hold space for the world. The bench and the wall are silent witnesses to everything that happens, to everything that moves through the world. They do not try to change the flow of time. They do not try to stop the world from moving. They simply watch. And in watching, they become part of it all. In their stillness, the bench and the wall hold something deeper than movement. They hold the essence of time, the rhythm of life. They hold the quiet pulse that beats through everything, the steady, constant flow that carries everything along. They are part of the world, not because they act, but because they are there, present, steady. The world moves around them, but the bench and the wall remain constant. They hold the space, holding the rhythm, holding the time. They are the silent witnesses, the quiet observers, the steady presence in a world that is always changing. They are part of the flow of life, part of the passage of time, part of the quiet, steady rhythm that makes everything move. And in their stillness, they are more present than anything else. Stillness holds the world in a way that motion cannot. While everything else moves, faster, harder, louder, stillness remains, a quiet anchor, holding everything steady. It is not the absence of life, but its presence in a form that cannot be grasped. The bench knows this. The wall knows this. They exist in stillness, but in that existence, they hold the world, grounding it, allowing it to move in its own rhythm without overwhelming it. They are the steady witnesses to the world's ebb and flow, the quiet keepers of time, the unseen bearers of moments. The bench, though unmoving, carries the weight of countless moments. It carries the weight of the people who have sat upon it, the weight of the world that has passed before it. Each person brings something new, a story, a thought, a breath. And though the bench does not move, it absorbs all that is placed upon it. It holds it, silently, without complaint. The bench is a silent witness, but it is also a keeper, a quiet holder of the world's presence. It does not speak, but it listens. It does not act, but it carries the world in its stillness. The wall, too, carries the world. Its surface is marked by time, by the weather, by the hands and feet of those who have touched it, leaned against it, passed it by. It bears the marks of life, though it does not seek them out. It holds them, silently. The wall has seen countless days come and go, countless lives unfold before it, and it has held space for all of it. In its stillness, it offers something no other part of the world can. It offers a steady presence that does not change, that does not shift with the wind or the passing seasons. The wall is anchored in the moment, in the present, and in that anchoring, it holds everything that passes by. The stillness of the bench and the wall is not emptiness. It is fullness, though it is hard to describe. It is the fullness of time, of experience, of life itself. The bench holds the weight of the world, but it does not feel burdened by it. The wall holds the passing moments, but it does not feel the need to remember them. Both are silent witnesses, both are keepers of the world, both are steadfast and true. They are not part of the world's rush, but they are part of its rhythm. They exist in the background, providing a quiet, constant presence that allows everything else to unfold. In their stillness, the bench and the wall give space to the world. They do not try to hold it in place. They do not try to stop time. They simply offer a steady, unmoving foundation for everything to rest upon. They are anchors in a world that is constantly shifting, constantly changing, constantly moving. And in their stillness, they provide the balance the world needs. The bench is not there to change the world, but to hold it. The wall is not there to alter the world, but to witness it. Together, they provide a quiet, steadying force that allows the world to move forward. The night settles into the world, wrapping it in its cool, quiet embrace. The bench and the wall, both still, both patient, watch as the world fades into the darkness. The night is not empty. It is full of quiet energy, of unspoken presence. It holds the world in a different way than the day does. The night is not a time of action, of movement, but a time of rest, of reflection. And in that rest, the world is allowed to be, allowed to simply exist. The stars begin to shine brighter as the light from the day fades completely. They flicker in the dark sky, distant and calm, as if keeping watch over the world below. The moon rises, casting its pale light across the alley, illuminating the bench and the wall in its soft glow. The night is a time of transformation, of quiet change. It is a time when the world rests, when the energy of the day settles into stillness. The bench and the wall feel the change, though they do not react. They simply observe. They watch the world transform from the noise of the day into the quiet of the night. The air grows cooler, the breeze gentler. It moves softly through the alley, rustling the leaves on the trees, carrying with it the scent of earth and distant rain. The bench feels the air shift, feels the night settle deeper into the world. The wall, too, feels the coolness of the evening. It absorbs the chill, the quiet, as it has absorbed everything else. It does not change, but it holds the world in its stillness, holding it steady as time moves on. The world, for now, is calm. The people have gone. The noises of the day have faded. The rush has slowed. And in that slowness, in that stillness, the bench and the wall find their place. They are not part of the world's rush. They are not part of its hurry. They are part of its pause, part of its rest, part of its quiet. They are still, but in that stillness, they are more present than anything else. The night deepens. The stars shine brighter. The moon casts its soft glow over everything. The bench and the wall remain, still, steady. They hold the world in their quiet presence, holding space for all that is, for all that has been, for all that will be. They do not act, do not try to change anything. They simply exist, silently, steadfastly, holding the rhythm of the world in their stillness. The night is long, but not endless. The world will wake again. The sun will rise. The day will begin once more. And in that new day, the bench and the wall will remain. They will remain in their stillness, in their quiet watchfulness. They will continue to hold space for the world, to bear witness to the moments that unfold, to the people who pass by, to the time that moves on. They will continue to be part of the rhythm of the world, part of the steady flow of life, without ever needing to change. The world moves, but the bench and the wall are constant. The world shifts, but they are steady. They do not fight the passage of time. They do not try to control it. They simply accept it, as they accept everything that comes their way. The bench and the wall are part of the world, and in their stillness, they are the quiet strength that holds it all together. They are the silent witnesses, the steady presence, the calm in the midst of life's ceaseless motion. Stillness, in all its quiet power, holds the world. It holds the bench. It holds the wall. It holds the passing of time. It holds the ebb and flow of life. It holds the rhythm of the world, the pulse of the day, the breath of the night. And in that stillness, everything is allowed to be exactly as it is. And the bench and the wall, in their stillness, are allowed to simply exist, to be present, to hold space for the world as it unfolds. As the day draws to a close, there is a gentle shift in the world. The sun, once bright and powerful, begins to dip toward the horizon, casting its last rays across the sky. The light softens, spreading warmth across the earth, though it is no longer the intense, sharp heat of noon. The world, which has been full of motion and sound, begins to settle, as if acknowledging that another day is coming to an end. The bench, ever still, watches this quiet transition. It feels the fading warmth of the sun, the slow, steady pull of the evening that gathers the world in its embrace. The wall, too, feels the change. The last light of the day catches the rough surface, softening it, turning the dark patches into muted shades of brown, gold, and amber. The wall, weathered and worn, receives this final light without resistance. It holds it, absorbing the warmth that lingers for just a little longer before it slips away, leaving behind the cool, quiet night. The sounds of the day begin to soften. The hustle and bustle of the street slow, as people return to their homes or seek shelter from the darkening sky. The once lively world, filled with footsteps, voices, laughter, and engines, now becomes quieter as the evening breathes into the space. The air cools, and a stillness settles over the alley, wrapping everything in a gentle, quiet peace. The bench remains, unmoved, unchanging, a silent witness to the transformation that takes place each evening, as the day surrenders to the night. The last rays of sunlight filter through the trees, casting long shadows across the ground. The shadows stretch and stretch, slowly inching their way toward the farthest corners of the alley. The light, which had once bathed everything in clarity, now becomes more elusive, retreating as the world prepares for darkness. The bench, still, feels the change. It feels the warmth of the sun fading, giving way to the coolness of the evening air. It feels the shadows grow longer, the light dimming, as the world shifts toward its natural rest. As the sky darkens, the first stars begin to appear, blinking into existence, quiet and distant. They are not loud, not demanding, but their presence is undeniable. The bench watches them, feeling their quiet glow. They twinkle in the distance, far beyond its reach, yet somehow connected to it. The bench is not separate from the sky. It is part of this moment, this transition from day to night, from light to dark. The bench feels its place in the world, part of the quiet rhythm that governs the passage of time. The wall, too, feels the star's presence. It watches the sky change, the deepening colors, the fading light, and the quiet emergence of the stars. It feels the steady pull of the night, the way it washes over the world, softening everything it touches. The wall does not react to this change, but it is aware of it. It has witnessed countless evenings, each one unique in its way, yet each one following the same quiet pattern. the same transition from day to night, from light to dark. And in this pattern, the wall finds its purpose. It holds the space, silently, steadily, as the world shifts. The last light of the day slowly fades, and the world becomes bathed in twilight. The colors of the sky shift from soft blues and pinks to deeper shades of purple and indigo. The world is neither fully light nor fully dark. It exists in that quiet space between, where everything feels soft and muted. The bench watches as the world softens, as the sharp edges of the day fade into the peaceful tones of evening. It is a quiet space, a time for reflection, for slowing down, for transitioning from one phase of the day to the next. The bench feels the coolness of the evening air settle over its surface. The warmth of the sun is gone now, replaced by the stillness of the night. The air is crisp, but not cold. It is a refreshing coolness, one that invites stillness, invites rest. The bench is content in this moment. It does not need to do anything. It does not need to move. It simply exists, holding space, as the world around it shifts from one rhythm to another. As the sky darkens further, the streetlights flicker on, casting their gentle glow over the alley. The soft light spills across the pavement, stretching long shadows, softening the edges of the world. The bench feels the change in the air, the quiet shift that accompanies the artificial light. The light is not harsh. It does not invade the night. It is gentle, like a soft whisper, like a lullaby to the world that has already slowed. The bench watches the light settle, feeling it in the coolness of its surface, in the shadows that form at its edges. The wall, bathed in the soft glow of the streetlights, takes on a different appearance. The marks on its surface, the cracks, the stains, the faded paint, are now softened by the light. They are not erased, but they are transformed. The wall, which has witnessed so much, now becomes part of the night, part of the quiet that surrounds it. It holds its place, steady, unyielding, as the last light of day disappears completely. The world outside the alley fades into the background. The streetlights glow softly, their light stretching long across the ground, their warmth a quiet invitation to settle into the night. The breeze picks up, moving through the alley, rustling the leaves, sending the faintest chill across the pavement. The sounds of the world are far away now, the hum of the city reduced to a low murmur. The night has arrived, and with it, a peace that fills the air, that settles over everything. The bench, now bathed in the glow of the streetlight, becomes a quiet anchor in the midst of the night. It is not the center of attention. It does not seek to be noticed. It simply holds space, offering stillness to the world around it. The bench feels the weight of the quiet, the weight of the night, settling into its bones. It does not need to move. It does not need to change. It simply waits, quietly, patiently, for the next moment to unfold. The world around it continues to shift, though the bench remains still. The people have gone for the night, their footsteps fading into the distance. The world becomes quieter as the night deepens, and yet, in that quiet, the bench feels more present than ever. The streetlights hum softly, their light casting long shadows, stretching across the pavement. The wall, now a silhouette against the darkening sky, holds its place. The night, though still, is full of life, full of presence. It is full of the quiet rhythm of time, the steady pulse of the world, the peaceful transition from day to night.